Introduction. The art of letting go of the steering wheel. Stop for a moment. Wherever you are, freeze your movement. Take a deep breath and observe your body. Do you notice that subtle tension in your shoulders? Do you feel that clenched jaw? Do you perceive that background noise in your mind that is always calculating, planning, anticipating dangers, and trying to secure the future? That tension has a name. It is called control, and it is the main reason why you are exhausted. We have been sold a monumental lie since the day we were born. Society, culture, and our own survival biology have taught us that life is a war. They have told us that to get what we want, we have to fight. We have been told we have to push, manipulate, and force the doors open. They have taught us that success is the result of bloody effort, and that security is only achieved by building high walls and watching every detail. They have taught us to live with a closed fist. A closed fist is great for punching. It is useful for holding on to the little you have. But there is a fundamental physical problem with the closed fist. It cannot receive anything new. As long as you keep your fist clenched, holding on to your plans, your fears, and your need for things to be your way, the universe cannot deposit anything in your hand. Not money, nor love, nor peace, nor miracles. Your own strength is blocking you. This audiobook is an invitation to do the unthinkable. I invite you to open your hand. I invite you to discover the power of surrender. I know what you are thinking. The word surrender sounds like defeat to you. In a military context, to surrender means to lose. It means the enemy has won and you are a slave. But in the metaphysical and spiritual context, surrender is exactly the opposite. Surrender is the final victory of the spirit over the ego. Surrendering is not giving up. Surrendering is delivering oneself to a greater force. It is the moment when you recognize that your small logical mind, with its fears and limitations, does not have the capacity to direct the infinite complexity of your life. It is the moment when you let go of the steering wheel. You let go of the wheel, you sit in the passenger seat, and you let the infinite intelligence that created the galaxies drive for you. Can you imagine the freedom of knowing that you don't have to hold the world on your shoulders? Can you imagine the peace of trusting that there is a current? Can you imagine the peace of trusting that there is a current that, if you stop swimming against it, will inevitably carry you toward your perfect destiny? What you are about to hear is not a philosophy of passivity. I am not going to ask you to sit on the couch and wait. I am going to teach you the art of inspired action. I am going to teach you to move with the flow of life, like a surfer moves with the wave, or like a bird moves with the wind. It is a way of living where friction disappears and magic becomes the norm. During the next 11 chapters, we are going to dismantle your need for control. We are going to face the fear of the void. We are going to learn to trust in the invisible. If you are tired of fighting, if you feel like you are hitting a wall over and over again, this is your message. The struggle ends today. Not because you have won the war, but because you have had the wisdom to stop fighting against life. Breathe. Let go of your shoulders. Open your hands. Welcome to the flow. Chapter 1. The illusion of control, the closed fist. Close your right hand, make a fist. Now squeeze it hard, harder. Squeeze it until your knuckles turn white, until your nails dig into your palm, until your forearm trembles. Hold that tension. Observe what you feel. You feel strength, yes. You feel hardness. You feel that you are holding something, protecting your territory. But look closer. See how the blood circulation stops. See how the skin turns cold. Feel how the muscle begins to ache, consuming glucose and oxygen at a frantic rate just to maintain that static position. And most importantly, try with that closed and tense fist to receive something. If I tried to put a diamond in your hand right now, it would bounce and fall to the ground. If I tried to put a coin, it would slip away. If I tried to shake your hand, I would hit a rock. Your hand, in its attempt to be strong and in control, has become useless. It has become incapable of receiving, incapable of feeling, and paradoxically, incapable of acting with precision. It only serves to strike or to retain what is already dead inside it. Welcome to the pathology of control. That closed fist is the exact metaphor for your current life. You live squeezing. You squeeze your relationships so they don't change. You squeeze your children so they don't make mistakes. You squeeze your money out of fear that it will run out. You squeeze your future by planning every millimeter to avoid catastrophe. You believe that is responsibility. You believe that is security. Society applauds you. Look at what a controlled person, how organized, what a master of their destiny. But it is a hallucination. What you call control is in reality crystallized fear. And the price you are paying for keeping that fist closed is your own vitality and the universe's ability to bless you. The great lie, the myth of the pilot. Since we were children, we have been installed with defective software. If you strive hard enough and control all variables, you will be safe. They sell us the image of the pilot. You are the captain of your soul. You drive the car. You decide the destination. It is an arrogant fantasy. Let's analyze it with scientific coldness. How much do you really control? Do you control your heartbeat? No, it happens on its own. Do you control the digestion of your last meal? No, it happens on its own. Do you control the cell division that keeps you alive? No. Do you control the weather, the traffic, the global economy? Do you control the mood of your boss, the thoughts of your partner? No. If we are brutally honest, you will realize that 99.99% of your existence is governed by forces that completely escape your conscious will. You are not the pilot of the plane. You are a small child sitting in a plastic seat with a toy steering wheel, moving it from left to right, while the plane flies on autopilot. You turn your toy wheel and say, "Look, I made us turn." And the universe laughs. The illusion of control is the ego's defense mechanism. It is a mechanism to avoid facing the absolute terror of vulnerability. The ego looks at the immensity of cosmic chaos and says, "If I don't hold this, I die." So it builds walls. It creates 5-year plans. It becomes obsessed with details. But it is a paper fortress. A microscopic virus, an unexpected phone call, a car accident, or a sudden falling in love can tear down your fortress in a second. And when that happens, and it always happens, the controller breaks. He does not bend. He snaps. The biological cost of war is immense. The human body is not designed for a perpetual state of alert. When you live trying to control the future, you chronically activate your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. Your primitive brain interprets uncertainty as the presence of a predator. There is a tiger in the bushes. You flood your blood with cortisol and adrenaline. You tense your muscles, the armor. You shut down the immune system and the digestive system. You don't need to digest or heal if a tiger is going to eat you. You close access to the prefrontal cortex, creativity and higher logic. You operate from the amygdala, animal reaction. Living in control is living in a biochemical war. That is why you are tired. You are not tired because of your job. You are tired from the titanic effort of holding the sky over your head, like the myth of Atlas. You are exhausted from micromanaging reality. You are burning your vital battery trying to do God's work. The universe knows how to spin the planets without your help. It knows how to grow trees without you pulling the branches. Why do you think your life needs your neurotic intervention? The physics of constriction. Let's talk about energy. Energy, like water, needs an open channel to flow. Control is a dam. It is a constriction. Imagine a garden hose through which a powerful stream of water flows. If you step on the hose, control, fear, the flow stops. Pressure increases at the point of blockage until the hose bursts, but no water comes out the end. You are the hose. Life is the water. When you obsess over how things should happen, you are stepping on the hose. You are dictating conditions to the universe. Universe, I want to be happy, but only if happiness comes in a blue package delivered on Tuesday at 5 p.m. The universe perhaps had a giant golden package for you, ready to be delivered on Wednesday, but since you closed all paths except Tuesday at 5, the package cannot enter. The illusion of control operates under the premise of scarcity. The controller thinks, there is only one correct path, mine. If I step off it, I die. The reality is that we live in a field of infinite possibilities. There are a million ways to reach your destination. By clinging to your rigid plan, you are rejecting the 999 alternative options that could be faster, easier, and more pleasant than the one you imagined. The closed fist rejects help. The closed fist says, "Me alone." And "me alone" is the saddest phrase in the human vocabulary. The butterfly effect and logical arrogance. Why is control mathematically impossible? Because of chaos theory and the butterfly effect. A small event here, a butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil, creates a chain of causes and effects that ends in a tornado in Texas. Your life is a complex and chaotic system. Imagine you want to control your career to be a millionaire in 5 years. You make a perfect plan, but you didn't count on the fact that on Tuesday you would have coffee in a different bar, where you would meet a person who would offer an investment. An investment that would ruin you, or an investment that would make you rich in 6 months. You cannot calculate the variables. They are infinite. The logical mind, the ego, can only process data from the past. Your future plans are basically cutouts of your past glued into a collage. I want what I had yesterday, but a little better. Or I don't want what I had yesterday. The ego cannot imagine the new. It only recycles the old. Therefore, if you control your life based only on what your mind knows, you are condemned to repeat your past over and over again. You are trapped in a loop. Surrender is the act of saying, "My logical mind is limited. I cannot see all the variables. I renounce calculating the incalculable. I open myself to the intelligence that does see the complete picture." It is to stop playing checkers so the grandmaster can play chess for you. The fear of the void. What happens if I let go? The reason you don't let go of control is the terror of the void. You have the subconscious belief that if you stop rowing, you will sink. You believe your frantic effort is the only thing that keeps you afloat. If I stop worrying about my children, something bad will happen to them. If I stop obsessing over money, I will go broke. It is negative, magical thinking. You believe your worry is the glue that holds the universe together. I challenge you to prove the opposite. What happens when you sleep? You let go of control totally. You enter unconsciousness, and yet your heart keeps beating. Your lungs breathe. The world keeps turning. Your problems do not explode while you sleep. In fact, you wake up refreshed. Conscious surrender is similar. It is trusting that there is a natural buoyancy in existence. If you stop swimming against the current and simply play dead, float, the water holds you up. You don't sink. What's more, the current begins to carry you. Fear screams, if you let go, you will crash against the rocks. The truth whispers, if you let go, the river will carry you to the ocean. Control is exhausting because it is artificial. Surrender is restorative because it is natural. The divine micromanager syndrome. Imagine you hire the best architect in the world to build your house. But every day you go to the construction site, you take away his pencil. You shout at the bricklayers, you change the plans, and you try to lay the bricks yourself, even though you know nothing about construction. The result will be a crooked, ugly, and dangerous house. The architect will leave, frustrated. That is what you do with your life. You have hired the universal architect. Call it God, Tao, quantum field, higher self. You have launched your desire. I want a life of love and abundance. The architect says, understood. Let me work. But you don't let him. You interfere, you doubt. Why hasn't it arrived yet? Why has this bad thing happened? This wasn't in my plan. You don't understand that sometimes an old wall must be demolished to build a new window. You see the demolition and panic. The architect says, quiet, I am making room for the light. Your need to control the process, the how, is ruining the result, the what. Micromanagement is the fastest way to kill the magic. You have to learn to delegate. Delegate to the universe. Here is my desire. I trust in your competence to deliver it to me. I get out of the way. Rigidity is death. Observe nature. In a storm, the rigid and strong oak snaps. The bamboo, flexible and hollow, bends until it touches the ground and survives. Control is rigidity. Surrender is flexibility. The controller has such a fixed image of how things should be that when life brings an inevitable change, he breaks psychologically. He suffers. He gets depressed. The phrase, it shouldn't, is the mark of the controller. He argues with reality. The surrendered is like water. Water does not argue with the rock, it flows around it. Water does not break if you put it in a cup, it becomes the cup. Bruce Lee said it. Be water, my friend. Being water is the ultimate form of real control, because it is invulnerable. You cannot hurt water, you cannot break water, but you can break ice, rigid, controlled water. Your illusion of control has turned you into ice, fragile, cold, and static. Surrender returns you to the liquid state, adaptable, fluid, and potent. Identifying your areas of control. Where do you have a closed fist right now? Do an honest scan. In love, are you trying to change your partner? Are you monitoring their movements? That is control. You are suffocating the relationship. Love needs air. In money, do you look at your bank account 10 times a day with fear? Do you save from stinginess? That is control. You are strangling the flow of abundance. In your body, are you obsessed with the perfect diet, fighting every wrinkle? That is control. You are declaring war on your biology instead of cooperating with it. In your future, do you have anxiety because you don't know what will happen in 5 years? That is control. Each area where you apply excessive control is an area where energy is blocked. It is an area where there are no miracles. Miracles only happen in the empty space you leave when you withdraw your manipulating hands. Decompression protocol, opening the fist. How do you get out of this illusion? It is not intellectual, it is visceral. You have to teach your nervous system that it is safe to let go. Physical exercise. Let's go back to the fist from the beginning. Close your eyes, squeeze your fist again with all your fury. Feel the tension. Think of your biggest current problem. Put all your fear and your need for control into that fist. Mentally say, I control this. I hold it. Feel how exhausting it is. Now very slowly start to open your fingers one by one, not all at once, slowly. Feel the blood circulate again. Feel the heat. Feel the tingling of life returning to your palm. Place your hand open, palm up, on your knee. In this position, the hand cannot strike. It cannot retain. But it can receive. It is the position of the beggar and the king. It is the position of offering and acceptance. Take a deep breath and say, I surrender. I do not know the solution. I stop fighting. Thy will be done and not mine. Feel the massive relief in your chest. That relief is proof that control was a burden, not a help. You have just let go of a 100-kilo backpack, from passivity to potency. Do not confuse this with apathetic resignation. No. The open fist is ready to work, but it works differently. It works with skill, not with tension. A surgeon does not operate with hands rigid and trembling from tension. He operates with relaxed, firm, and fluid hands. A pianist does not play with stiff fingers. Surrender allows you to access unconscious competence. It is the flow state of elite athletes. When Messi plays, he is not thinking, I have to move my left foot 30 degrees. If he thought, controlled, he would stumble. He surrenders to the game. The game plays through him. You want to live your life like that. You want universal intelligence to live through you. You want to be the instrument, not the obstacle. Open your hand. Let life flow. Chapter 2. The Paradox of Surrender, Losing to Win. We live in a world obsessed with winners. From school to sports and through business, we are programmed to conquer, to dominate, to win. The narrative of the hero is always the same. The hero fights, bleeds, strives against impossible odds, and finally plants his flag at the top of the mountain. In this cultural context, the word surrender is a blasphemy. Surrendering is what cowards do. Surrendering is what losers do. Surrender is social and moral death. Never give up, motivational gurus scream at you. Keep pushing. But here we are, about to explore a truth that linear logic cannot process. A truth that mystics, great artists, and elite athletes have secretly discovered throughout the centuries. The truth is that constant struggle is the recipe for failure, and that strategic surrender is the master key to victory. Welcome to the paradox of surrender. This paradox establishes that in the realm of consciousness and manifestation, you often obtain that which you give up. It establishes that to win the world, you first have to let it go. It establishes that brute force generates an equal opposing force. Brute force generates an equal counterforce. while non-resistance dissolves the opponent. Jesus said it, "Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it." Lao Tzu said it, "Water is soft and yielding, but it undermines and corrodes the hard." In the overcoming of the hard, she has no equals. We are not talking about weakness, we are talking about superior physics. We are talking about changing the combustion engine, which works by explosions and friction, for the solar sail, which works by receiving the impulse of a greater force, the Chinese finger trap. To understand this mechanic, visualize a children's toy, the Chinese finger trap. It is a small tube of woven bamboo. You stick your index fingers into both ends. Now, try to take them out. Your logical instinct tells you, to get out, I have to pull outward. So you pull. You use force, you use will. But the design of the trap is ingenious. The harder you pull outward, the more the tube narrows and the more it catches your fingers. If you panic and pull with all your soul, you will stay trapped forever, with your fingers purple and aching. The struggle reinforces the prison. What is the solution? You have to do something counterintuitive, something that goes against your immediate survival instinct. You have to push inward. You have to surrender to the trap. By pushing your fingers toward the center, the tube widens. By ceasing to try to escape, the tube widens, relaxes, and your fingers slide out smoothly. Your life is that trap. Your debts, your loneliness, your illness, they are the bamboo tube. The more you pull outward, fighting against reality, complaining, striving from desperation, the tighter the knot. Anxiety is pulling outward. Worry is pulling outward. Disconnected hard work is pulling outward. The paradox of surrender tells you, stop pulling. Get closer to the problem. Relax inside the situation. Accept where you are. By making this movement of pushing inward, radical acceptance. By making this movement, the structure of the problem relaxes. Space is created, and in that space you find the exit. Losing the need to escape is the only way to escape. The law of reversed effort. The writer Aldous Huxley formulated the law of reversed effort. This law establishes that the harder we try with the conscious will to do something, the less success we have. Conscious effort creates tension, and tension blocks the flow of subconscious intelligence. Let's look at irrefutable biological examples. 1. Insomnia. You are in bed. You need to sleep because tomorrow you have an important meeting. You tell yourself, I have to sleep, I'm going to strive to sleep. You close your eyes tightly. You order your brain to turn off. What happens? You wake up more. The anxiety to sleep keeps you awake. Sleep is an act of surrender. You can only sleep if you stop trying to sleep. Only if you surrender to gravity and let go of control, sleep comes to you. You cannot hunt sleep. Sleep hunts you. 2. Forgetting. You try to remember the name of an actor. It's on the tip of my tongue. You strive, you frown, you search your memory, nothing. Total blockage, you surrender. You say, bah, I'll remember later. You start washing the dishes. 5 minutes later, when you are no longer pushing, pop. The name appears. Why? Because by surrendering, you removed the tension. You removed the tension that was blocking the neural circuits of memory access. 3. Sexual performance. The more a man becomes obsessed with having an erection, I have to perform, I have to be hard, the more likely he is to suffer erectile dysfunction. Performance anxiety kills blood flow. Only when he relaxes, forgets the goal, and delivers himself to the present sensation, the body responds. Life works the same way. The more you strive to be happy, the more miserable you feel, because the effort constantly reminds you that you are not. The more you pursue love with desperation, the more you flee from it. Surrender is the application of the law of reversed effort. You stop trying to force the door and realize that the door opened the other way. Metaphysical judo. Using the opponent's strength. In boxing, if the opponent throws a punch, you block or return another punch. Force against force. The one who hits harder wins, but both end up hurt and exhausted. In judo or aikido, if the opponent throws a punch, you do not block it. You surrender to their movement. You move with it. You use their own inertia, add a small twist, and the opponent flies through the air and falls to the ground, defeated by their own strength. You have barely broken a sweat. The problems of life are energetic punches. You get fired from your job. That is a direct attack. The boxer's reaction, ego, is block, deny, get angry. This is unfair. I'm going to sue. My life is over. You spend all your energy resisting the fact. The judoka's reaction, surrender, is accept the movement. Okay, I am fired. The energy is moving in this direction. I am going to move with it. Instead of paralyzing yourself, you use that impulse of the firing to pivot toward the entrepreneurship you always wanted to do. You use the energy of the disaster to catapult yourself to a new level. You haven't defeated the firing by fighting it. You defeated it by surrendering to reality and redirecting the flow. Surrender is not passivity, it is redirection of energy. It is ceasing to be a wall to become a channel. The wall breaks, the channel directs the water, the 0 point of power. There is a magical moment in human life, the moment you hit rock bottom. The moment you say, I can't take it anymore, I surrender, let whatever has to happen, happen. The ego, which has been fighting for years, finally collapses. And just in that instant, the miracle happens. The alcoholic stops drinking. The blocked artist begins to paint. The financial solution appears. Why? Because in the moment of total surrender, you get out of the way. Your small self, the one who hindered with fears and limited plans, steps aside and allows the big self to take over. It allows universal intelligence to take command. You become transparent. While you fight, you are dense, you are an obstacle to the light. When you surrender, you become glass. The light passes through you. The most incredible survival stories usually happen. They happen when the person stops trying to save themselves with panic and enters a state of calm and strange acceptance. In that silence of surrender, they hear the intuition, turn left, and they are saved. Surrender cleans the static from the mental radio. It allows you to hear the frequency of the solution. Losing what? The title of the chapter says, losing to win. What exactly do you have to lose? You do not have to lose your dignity. You do not have to lose your dreams. You do not have to lose your possessions. You have to lose your rigid idea of how things should happen. You have to lose your schedule. You have to lose your attachment to the specific result. You have to lose your identity as a suffering fighter. The ego loves the identity of the fighter. Look how much I suffer, therefore I deserve much. The universe does not reward suffering, it rewards vibration. If you suffer, you vibrate in suffering, and you attract more reasons to suffer. If you surrender, you vibrate in relief, and relief is the closest frequency to love. It is the frequency of manifestation. Abraham Hicks often says, the feeling of relief is the signal that you have stopped resisting and have started allowing. Look for the relief. Surrender to the struggle. Lay down your arms. Losing the war against reality is the only way to win peace. The physics of friction. Imagine that you drag a heavy piece of furniture across a rough concrete floor. There is a lot of friction. It gets hot. It makes noise. It costs you horrors to advance 1 meter. That is living without surrender. Now imagine you put that furniture on ice. A small push, and it slides meters and meters without effort. That is living in surrender. Surrender eliminates psychological friction. Friction is the distance between what is and what you want it to be. It rains, reality. You want sun, ego desire. The friction between those 2 points creates suffering. I hate the rain, it ruins my day. Surrender eliminates the friction. It's raining. Okay, I surrender to the rain. I will enjoy the sound of the water, or I'll stay home reading. Suddenly, the suffering disappears. The external event is the same, but the internal experience has gone from hell to heaven. When you eliminate internal friction, you become a superconductor. Energy flows through you without resistance. You get less tired, you get sick less, you become efficient. People will look at your life and say, how does he do it? It seems everything comes easy to him. It comes easy to them because they are not rubbing against life. They are lubricated by acceptance, the wild horse. Imagine that life is a wild horse. The controller tries to mount it by force, tie it, hit it, subdue it. The horse rebels, kicks and throws the rider. The master of surrender approaches the horse with respect. He does not try to dominate it. He synchronizes his breath with the animal's. He moves with it. And when the horse feels there is no threat, no attempt at control, it allows the master to mount, and together they gallop faster than the master could ever have run by himself. Your life is that horse. It is a force of nature, much bigger than you. If you try to subdue it to your small logical will, it will throw you to the ground. If you surrender to its rhythm and learn to ride it, it will take you to places you can't even imagine. Surrendering is not getting off the horse. It is ceasing to fight with the reins. The mirror effect of desperation. Let's talk about attraction. Need repels. Surrender attracts. It is a cruel but exact law. If you go to a job interview and smell of, "I need this job to eat," they probably won't give it to you. Desperation feels like a burden. If you go on a romantic date and smell of, "Please love me, I'm alone," the other person will run away. Need feels like an energetic demand. Why? Because need screams lack, and the universe is a mirror. If you project lack, it reflects lack. It does not give you what you ask. Surrender is the antidote. When you surrender, you say, "I would like this job, but if they don't give it to me, I'll be fine. I trust that something better will come." That attitude projects abundance and security. Suddenly, you become magnetic. The employer thinks, "This person has confidence, I want them on my team." The date thinks, "This person is secure, I want to be close." The paradox is brutal. You can only have that which you are willing to give up. If you are willing to leave the negotiation table, you have the power. If you cannot leave because you need it, you are at the mercy of the other. Surrender to the possibility of not having it, and you will dramatically increase the probability of having it. Trust versus arrogance. Control is arrogance. It is believing that you know what is best for you. Better than the universe that created you. I have to marry this person. What if that person was going to ruin your life in 10 years? You don't know. The universe does. By fighting to get it at all costs, you are fighting for your own misfortune. Surrender is humility and trust. Universe, I think I want this person, but you have the panoramic view. If they are not for me, take them out of my way. I surrender to your wisdom. This prayer is the most powerful protection that exists. It saves you from your own blind whims. Many times when you don't get what you want, it's because the universe is protecting you from it. The bad luck of the controller is the divine protection of the surrendered. Be grateful for the closed doors. They are the ones that saved you from entering rooms on fire. The metaphor of the castaway. You are in the ocean. Your ship sank. The controller panics. He swims frantically toward where he thinks the shore is. He spends all his energy. He swallows water. He drowns from exhaustion. The surrendered knows he cannot fight the ocean. He lies on his back. He plays dead. He floats. He conserves his energy. He observes the stars for orientation. He lets himself be carried by the currents. And he waits for the right moment. Buoyancy is natural. Sinking is caused by panic and rigidity. Your anxiety is what sinks you, not the problem itself. In life, sometimes the only thing you can do is float, and that's fine. Floating is a valid action. While you float, you breathe. While you breathe, you are alive. And while you are alive, everything is possible. Protocol, the white flag, visualization. How to activate the paradox today. Do this exercise when you feel you are hitting a wall. 1. Identify the wall. Think of that situation that doesn't change no matter how hard you try. 2. Feel the resistance. Notice the exhaustion in your soul. Recognize that your brute force strategy has failed. Admit it, I can't handle this. 3. The visualization. Imagine you are on a battlefield, dirty, wounded, holding a broken sword. In front of you is an invincible army, your problem. 4. The act. Instead of charging suicidally. Instead of charging, imagine you drive the sword into the ground. You pull out a white flag, you raise it. 5. The decree. Say out loud, I surrender. I stop fighting against this. I don't know how to fix it. I hand this problem over to a greater intelligence. I am at peace. 6. The miracle. Visualize how as you raise the white flag, the enemy army does not attack you. It dissolves. It turns into smoke. By ceasing to offer resistance, the monster loses its solidity. The monster fed on your struggle. Without struggle, it starves to death. Chapter 3. Anatomy of Resistance, the Internal Enemy. Imagine you are driving a high-performance sports car. You have a Ferrari engine under the hood, your potential. You have high-octane fuel, your desire. You floor the gas pedal. The engine roars. The RPMs hit the red line. There is smoke. There is noise. There is fury. But the car barely moves. It jerks forward, slow and heavy. What is happening? Is the engine broken? Is the road bad? No. It is much simpler and more tragic. You have the handbrake on. You are stepping on the accelerator, wanting to change, and the brake, fear of changing, at the same time. That handbrake is resistance. Welcome to the autopsy of your own blockage. So far we have talked about letting go of control and the paradox of surrender. It sounds nice. It sounds logical. So why is it so hard to do? Why, knowing that surrender would bring you peace and success, do you keep fighting? Because inside you lives a silent, ancient and cunning entity whose only mission is to keep you exactly where you are. We call this entity the internal enemy, but its technical name is homeostatic resistance. You are not fighting against the world. You are not fighting against the economy. You're in the middle of a civil war. One part of you wants to expand, your soul, and another part of you wants to contract and stay safe in the cave, your ego, resistance. As long as you don't deactivate the handbrake, no matter how much you strive, visualize or pray, the car will not move. You will only burn out the engine. What is resistance? Stephen Pressfield, in his masterpiece The War of Art, defines resistance as a universal force that acts against creativity and human evolution. But let's look at its biology. Resistance is not a demon that wants to destroy you. It is a biological defense mechanism that wants to save you. Your primitive brain, the reptilian brain and the amygdala, has one main directive: survival. For your primitive brain, survival is synonymous with the known. If you are alive today with your current routines, your brain assumes those routines are safe. Any change, even a positive one, earning more money, falling in love, getting in shape, represents the unknown. And in prehistory, the unknown was equal to death. Leaving the cave meant lions. Therefore, every time you try to grow, your internal alarm system goes off. Resistance is your own psychic immune system attacking your dreams because it confuses them with dangerous viruses. You feel fear, laziness, doubt, and procrastination. You believe these are signs that you shouldn't do it. False. They are signs that you are about to leave your biological comfort zone. Resistance is the compass. It always points to the true north of your growth. The more important an action is for the evolution of your soul, the stronger the resistance you will feel toward it. The enemy wears 1,000 masks. Resistance is a master of disguise. It rarely presents itself with its true face, fear. It disguises itself as things that seem reasonable to deceive you. Let's unmask it. 1. The mask of logic, rationalization. This is the most dangerous for intelligent people. Resistance uses your own intellect against you. It gives you brilliant excuses. It's not the right time to start a business because the economy is unstable. I shouldn't call that person because I'll look desperate. It sounds logical. It sounds prudent. But it is a lie. It is fear disguised as prudence. Resistance rationalizes inaction. Perfection is fear's favorite excuse. 2. The mask of procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. Resistance doesn't tell you never do it, because that would generate immediate guilt. It says, do it later. It is a sedative drug. It allows you to feel good today, thinking you will be a hero tomorrow. But tomorrow is a fiction. Procrastination is the most subtle form of self-sabotage because it maintains the illusion of intention while killing action. 3. The mask of cynicism and criticism. When you see someone succeeding and you say, they just got lucky, that is resistance. Criticizing those in the arena is the consolation of cowards who stayed in the stands. Cynicism is a defense mechanism to avoid facing your own mediocrity. If you despise success, you don't have to feel bad about not having it, but by despising it, you ensure you never reach it. Fusion, the mask of victimization. Poor me. It's just that I'm sick. It's just that my childhood was hard. Illness, often psychosomatic, and drama are fantastic tools of resistance. If you are a victim, nothing is expected of you. You have a perfect excuse not to surrender and not to grow. Pain versus suffering. To understand the anatomy of your blockage, we must distinguish two concepts, pain and suffering. The equation is suffering, pain x resistance. Pain is inevitable. It is part of life. You stub your toe, physical pain. Your partner leaves you, emotional pain. Pain is pure information. Suffering is optional. It is what happens when you refuse to accept the pain. This shouldn't have happened. Why me? That mental narration, that rejection of reality, is resistance. If your resistance is zero, suffering is zero. Only pure pain remains. Pure pain without the layer of mental resistance is very manageable. It is an intense sensation, but it flows and passes quickly. What stays stuck for years, trauma, resentment, depression, is not the original pain, but the resistance frozen around it. You are suffering not because of what happened 10 years ago, but because of your current resistance to letting go of what happened 10 years ago. The internal enemy tells you, if I accept it, I lose. The truth is, if I accept it, it heals, and I am free. The addiction to chaos, homeostasis. Why would someone sabotage themselves just when things start to go well? You know the case. Someone wins the lottery and a year later, they are broke. This is psychological homeostasis. Your psyche has an internal thermostat for happiness and success. If you grew up in chaos, lack, and drama, your thermostat is set to 20 degrees of drama. That is what your system considers home. If suddenly your life improves and you rise to 40 degrees of happiness, an internal alarm sounds. Alert, danger, too much happiness. Resistance activates to return you to your base level. You start spending money compulsively. You become jealous without reason. You sabotage yourself unconsciously to go back down to the 20 degrees of drama where you feel comfortable. Your internal enemy prefers a familiar hell to an unknown heaven. The shadow. What you resist persists. Carl Jung discovered that we all have a shadow. The shadow is the basement where we lock all the parts of ourselves that our ego judged as unacceptable, our anger, our ambition, our vulnerability. Resistance is the guard at the basement door. It spends immense energy pushing the door so the monsters don't get out. But the law of physics is relentless. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. The force you use to repress your shadow is the same force the shadow uses to push outward. You live in constant tension. And, most ironically, what you repress inside you project outside. If you repress your own aggressiveness, you will see aggressive people everywhere. Surrender implies opening the basement door. It implies inviting the monsters to tea. Hello, anger. Hello, fear. I see you. When you embrace your shadow, resistance disappears, and you discover the monsters were not monsters. They were powerful energies that, by being repressed, became toxic. By accepting them, anger becomes the strength of action. Envy becomes inspiration. You reclaim your full power. The upper limit problem. Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. We all have a limit on how much love, success, and creativity we allow ourselves to feel. When you hit your upper limit, resistance appears to say, "Who do you think you are? Something bad is going to happen." It is the voice of guilt. Feeling too good generates guilt in a society addicted to suffering. These are lies of resistance to keep you small. Your suffering helps no one. Your smallness does not serve the world. Breaking the glass ceiling of your upper limit requires an act of spiritual rebellion. It requires being willing to be the weird one who is happy. Resistance uses social guilt as a weapon. Surrender uses self-love as a shield. How to dialogue with the enemy. You cannot defeat resistance by fighting it. Fighting creates friction and strengthens it. You have to use diplomacy. You have to treat resistance as what it is, a frightened child trying to protect you. Imagine you are going to drive a car and you have a terrified child in the back seat screaming, "Don't start, we're going to die." If you yell at the child, he will cry more. The solution is to turn around, look him in the eyes and say calmly, "I see you, I know you're afraid. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am the adult. I know how to drive. We are going to be safe. Sit back and look at the view." Acknowledge the fear, but don't give it the wheel. Practical exercise personifying resistance. When you feel the blockage, do not say, "I am afraid." Say, "Ah, here is resistance visiting me again." Give it a name. Call it the saboteur. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. You are no longer the fear. You are the observer of the fear. Ask it, "What are you trying to protect?" Usually the answer will be, "I'm afraid that if you write that book, they'll criticize you and it will hurt." Respond, "Thanks for the warning. I'm willing to take the risk." This internal negotiation dissolves the paralysis. The secret of the professional. What is the difference between an amateur and a professional? The amateur believes they must defeat resistance before getting to work. They wait for inspiration. That is why they never do anything. The professional knows that resistance never goes away. Stephen King feels resistance before writing. Beyoncé feels resistance before going on stage. The difference is that the professional acts with fear. He shows up to work despite the resistance. He knows resistance is maximum just before starting, but once you cross the threshold, the muse appears. Surrender is not waiting for fear to disappear. Surrender is launching into the void with fear, trusting that wings will appear during the fall. Action cures fear. Inaction feeds it. Energetic friction, the waste of life. Imagine you have a battery of 100 units of energy to spend today. If you have a lot of internal resistance, you spend 80 units just keeping yourself standing. You spend 80 units on the friction of your own mind fighting against itself. You have 20 units left to live, create, and love. That is why you reach the night exhausted, even if you did nothing. When you apply the power of surrender, you let the wall fall. Friction disappears. Suddenly you have the 100 units available for creation. Your productivity skyrockets. Your health improves. Eliminating the internal enemy is the best energy management strategy there is. The ritual of burning. To end this chapter, I propose a technique to materialize your surrender. Your subconscious mind loves rituals. Take a paper and a pen. Write a letter to your resistance. Write all your excuses. Write all your fears. Write all the "I can't," "I'm not enough." Vomit all the mental trash onto the paper. Get it out of your system. Read it aloud and say, "This is what I have been carrying. This is my internal enemy." Now, burn the paper. Watch how the fire consumes the words. Watch the solid paper become smoke and ash. As it burns, feel that trapped energy being released and returning to the universe to be transmuted. Say, "I let go of resistance. I let go of the drama. I let go of the past. I am clean." Wash your hands afterward. Feel the lightness. That empty space you feel now is fertile ground. Chapter 4. The Art of Allowing, the Wisdom of the Gardener. Imagine for a moment two scenarios. Scenario A, a car factory. It is a noisy place. There are sparks, metal against metal, the smell of burnt oil. Everything is forced. Immense hydraulic pressure is needed to bend steel. Extreme heat is needed to melt glass. If the workers stop for a second, production stops. Everything depends on continuous effort, on millimetric control, and on external energy applied with violence upon inert matter. Scenario B. A forest. It is a silent place. You do not hear the screeching of machines. You do not see anyone sweating. There are no foremen shouting. And yet if you return in 10 years, that forest will have grown meters toward the sky. It will have created tons of wood, millions of leaves, fruits, flowers, and oxygen. It has achieved a production infinitely more complex. It has achieved this without noise, without stress, and without forcing anything. The forest does not manufacture trees. The forest allows trees to grow. Welcome to the art of allowing. Most modern human beings live their lives as if they were the factory manager in scenario A. They live by striking reality, bending it by force, sweating blood to make things happen. They believe that if they stop pushing, the world will stop. But you are not a machine. Your life is not an assembly line. You are nature. Your life is a garden. And the laws that govern the garden are diametrically opposed to the laws of the factory. In this chapter, you're going to resign from your position as factory foreman to assume your true role, the gardener of your destiny. Doing versus allowing is the vital difference. There is a linguistic and energetic distinction that changes the whole game. The difference between making it happen and letting it happen. We have been taught to admire those who make it happen, the aggressive ones, the sharks, those who break down doors. But there is a higher level of mastery. Think about your own body. If you cut your finger, do you have to make it heal? Do you have to sit and concentrate, give orders to your platelets, direct the white blood cells, and weave the collagen consciously? No. If you tried to do it, you would probably interfere and the wound would become infected. What you do is clean the wound, put on a bandage, prepare the conditions, and then you step aside. You allow the biological intelligence of your body to do the healing work. You trust the process. You know your body knows how to heal itself. The manifestation of your desires works exactly the same way. Your desire, money, love, health, is a wound that wants to heal or a seed that wants to be born. It already has the success code inscribed in its DNA. You do not have to manufacture money or manufacture the perfect partner. You have to create the conditions and then get out of the way to allow the universal intelligence, which is the extended body of God, to do the assembly work. The art of allowing is the discipline of not getting in the way, getting. The seed, the hologram of the future. To understand the wisdom of the gardener, let's look at the seed. Take an oak seed. It is small, hard, and looks dead. But inside that tiny shell there exists a quantum hologram of the giant 20-meter oak tree. It is already there. The seed does not need you to give it instructions. It does not need you to say, hey, grow a root downward and a branch upward. She already knows. She has a direct connection to the source. Your desires are seeds. When you have a genuine desire, that desire is not a random whim. It is a seed that the universe has deposited in your mind. And that seed already contains the complete plan of its realization. It contains the clients, the income, the success. Everything is compressed in the potential. The gardener's job is not to make the seed grow. You cannot make anything grow. Try to stretch a sprout with your fingers and you will rip it out. The gardener's work is limited to two things. 1. Planting it in fertile ground, your subconscious vibration. 2. Maintaining the conducive environment, watering, removing weeds, giving sun. The rest, the miracle of life turning the invisible into visible, is not your business. It is the business of the earth and the sun. The capital sin of the novice gardener. What is the number one error people make with the law of attraction? Digging up the seed. Imagine an anxious gardener. He plants a tomato seed today. Tomorrow morning he goes to the garden and says, "Has it grown yet?" He looks at the earth. He sees nothing. He gets nervous. He digs up the earth, takes out the seed, looks at it, shakes it and says, "Well, it's still the same. This doesn't work." And he buries it again. The next day he does the same. Still nothing. What a scam. On the third day the seed has died. Not because it was bad, but because the gardener did not leave it in peace in the darkness. This is exactly what you do. You do a visualization of wealth. You plant the seed. 2 hours later, you look at your bank account, you look at the surface, you see it is still at zero. You get scared. You start to doubt. Am I doing it wrong? Why hasn't it arrived? I have to do something. That doubt, that constant checking of physical reality, is the act of digging up the seed. You are breaking the gestation process. The art of allowing requires blind faith in what happens under the surface. You must know that even if your physical eyes see nothing, activity is happening. Beneath the soil, frantic activity is occurring. The shell is breaking. The roots are looking for water. The silence of the surface does not mean inactivity, it means incubation. The wise gardener plants and goes to sleep peacefully. He knows nature never fails. If the seed is good and the earth is good, the sprout is inevitable. The earth managing the vibrational environment. If the seed is the desire, the earth is your mood, vibration. You cannot plant an orchid in toxic asphalt and expect it to grow. Nor can you plant a millionaire desire in a mind full of complaint, hatred, and victimhood, toxic soil. The art of allowing consists of becoming a guardian of the earth. Your only real responsibility is to keep your vibration clean and nourished. How is the mental earth watered? With gratitude, with enthusiasm, with positive expectations. How is the earth fertilized? With learning, with inspiration, with beauty. And what are the weeds? The weeds are negative thoughts and doubts. I am not enough. It is very hard. What if I fail? In a garden, weeds grow on their own. You don't have to plant them. They are invasive and resilient. They are the survival programs of the ego. If you leave the garden abandoned, the weeds will choke your flowers. The gardener does not hate weeds. He simply pulls them. Without drama, without getting angry at them. When a negative thought appears, I won't be able to pay, do not fight it. Simply recognize it. Ah, a weed. And pull it gently by changing focus. But I choose to trust that the money will arrive. Daily cleaning is required. Maintaining the earth clean is a daily job. Allowing is not doing nothing. Allowing is working hard on your inner world so that the outer world can flourish without obstacles. The sun and the rain, external factors. The gardener knows he does not control the weather. Sometimes it rains too much. Sometimes there is drought. Sometimes a plague comes. The controller, factory, gets angry at the rain. He screams at the sky. The allower, garden, adapts. If it rains, he is glad because he doesn't have to water. If there is drought, he brings water from the well. Accept the cycles. In your life, there will be seasons of rapid growth, spring, and seasons of apparent stagnation, winter. The art of allowing implies respecting God's time. You want the tomato now, but the tomato needs 90 days. If you scream at the tomato on day 30, it won't ripen. It won't ripen faster. You will only embitter yourself. Impatience is a form of resistance. Impatience tells the universe, you are slow, I would do it better. It is arrogance. Nature does not hurry, and yet everything is accomplished. A pregnancy lasts 9 months. If you try to take it out at 4 months, you don't have a baby faster. You have a tragedy. Allowing is synchronizing your clock with the clock of the universe. It is to stop running and start walking at the rhythm of life. The law of least resistance is always at play. The water of a river always seeks the path of least resistance to reach the sea. It does not try to pass through the granite mountain. It flows around it. It flows through the valley. That is the supreme intelligence of physics. We, humans, are the only idiots who try to headbutt granite. We try to pass through granite when there is a valley next to it. We call that perseverance or work ethic. Sometimes it is simply stupidity. The art of allowing is to look for the flow. If you are pushing a door and it doesn't open, do not bring a battering ram. Look to the side. Perhaps there is an open window. If a project gets stuck, if a relationship becomes impossibly difficult, perhaps the universe is telling you, this is not the way. The flow does not go through here. Allowing means being sensitive to the stop and go signals. When you are in the flow, allowing things happen with a suspicious ease. The right person appears, you get a phone call. You find the money. People say, how lucky. You know it is not luck. It's that you have stopped swimming against the current. You have let yourself be carried by the gravity of your own destiny. Excessive effort is a sign that you are off the path. Inspired effort is light. Struggle is heavy. Receiver mode, tuning the radio. Imagine that you are a radio. Your desire is the music you want to hear. That music is frequency FM 105.0. The universe is transmitting that music 24 hours a day. Abundance is playing right now, but you are emitting static noise, doubt, fear, anxiety. How do I do it? When does it arrive? If your dial is on noise emission, you cannot be on music reception. You cannot ask and receive at the same time. You have to ask, plant the seed, and then be quiet and listen. Allow. The art of allowing is putting yourself in receiver mode. How do you enter receiver mode? By feeling good. It seems like an oversimplification, but it is exact mechanics. When you feel good, relaxed, grateful, amused, at peace, your resistance drops to zero. Your static disappears, you become a clear antenna, and it is in that moment, when you're in the shower or walking the dog or laughing with friends, moments of non-effort. That is when the million-dollar idea falls into your head. Boom, the download. The universe was trying to give it to you weeks ago, but you were too busy worrying to receive it. You had to distract yourself, let go of control to allow the signal to enter. Your main job is to maintain yourself in a state of satisfaction, because satisfaction is the frequency of reception. The paradox of action in the garden. This is where critics get confused. So, do I just sit and wait for the tomatoes to grow? No. The gardener works. And sometimes he sweats. He has to prepare the soil, he has to dig the furrows, he has to set up the irrigation system, he has to put up scarecrows. But there is a crucial difference. The gardener acts in favor of the process, not in place of the process. His actions are of support, not of creation. You do not create life, you facilitate life. Your action in the world must be inspired action. Action that is born from joy, from impulse, from I want to do this, not action born from fear. If I don't do this, I will starve. When you act from fear, you are trampling the garden. You are compacting the soil with your anxiety and the roots cannot breathe. When you act from trust, your actions are precise, smooth, and effective. You make a call and close the sale. You write an email and get the partner. You do less but achieve more. It is the efficiency of the sniper versus the noise of the machine gun. Letting go of the how, the curse of micromanagement. The how is the domain of the universe. The what is your domain. You decide what you want, an oak tree. The seed and the earth decide how to do it. Photosynthesis, mineral absorption, cellular structure. You do not know how to do photosynthesis. Do not try to tell the plant how to do it. When you obsess over, how am I going to get the money? Where will it come from? When you ask who will give it to me, you are invading God's territory. And since you do not have the capacity of God, you get frustrated. The art of allowing is the total renunciation of controlling the how. Perhaps the money comes from a job, perhaps from an inheritance. Perhaps you find a lottery ticket, perhaps an idea comes to you, perhaps they gift you what you wanted to buy. There are infinite hows. If you fixate on only one, it has to be a salary increase. You close the door to the other billion channels. Tell the universe, this is what I want. Surprise me with the how. And relax. The surprise is part of the gift. Allowing is living in a state of constant curiosity. I wonder what wonder is going to happen today. That innocent curiosity is the most magnetic vibration, the ripening and the waiting time, the gap. There exists a space of time between the sowing and the harvest. Metaphysicians call it the gap. It is the valley of the shadow of death for the impatient. In that time you have done the work, but you see no results. This is where the battle is won or lost. Most people abort their dreams in the gap. They give up just before the sprout reaches the surface. The master allower loves the gap. He knows it is rest time. I have already placed my order. Now it is in the kitchen. I am not going to go into the kitchen to scream at the chef. I am going to drink my wine and enjoy the conversation until dinner arrives. Enjoy the wait. Savor the anticipation. It is like Christmas Eve. Sometimes the thrill of knowing the gift is coming is better than the gift. If you can be happy in the gap, without having the thing yet, you have mastered the game. Because by being happy without the thing, you prove to the universe that you have no need, resistance. And paradoxically, that makes the thing come flying toward you. Protocol, the 24-hour control fast. To integrate this wisdom, I propose a challenge. Tomorrow you are going to do a control fast. For 24 hours, your goal is to force nothing. If there is traffic, do not get angry. Put on music and enjoy the extra time. Allow the traffic. If someone is late, do not complain. Take the chance to breathe, allow the delay. If something falls, do not curse, pick it up calmly. Do not make decisions from fear. Say yes to whatever life brings you. Act like a guest at a perfect party hosted by the universe. A guest does not go to the kitchen to tell the host how to cook. He simply enjoys the food and gives thanks. For one day, be the guest of your own life. Observe how much energy you save. Observe how problems solve themselves when you take your anxious hands off them. Observe the peace that arises from trusting that there is a higher plan. The gardener sleeps while the forest grows. Learn to rest in that certainty. Chapter 5. The Death of Expectations, the Chinese Farmer. Have you ever planned the perfect weekend? You visualized the sun, the food, the company, the laughter. You wrote the script in your head. It was a perfect movie. And then Saturday arrived and it rained. Or you got a fever. Or your partner was in a bad mood. What did you feel? You didn't just feel the annoyance of the rain. You felt anger. You felt disappointment. You felt that the universe had personally betrayed you. But why? The rain is just water falling. It is a neutral event. Plants love it. Ducks love it. Your suffering did not come from the rain. Your suffering came from the distance between your mental script, expectation, and reality, what is. The greater the distance between what you expect and what you get, the greater the pain. Welcome to Chapter 5, The Death of Expectations. Expectations are the silent killers of happiness. They are rigid contracts you sign with the future. If X doesn't happen, I refuse to be happy. They are arrogant demands you make to life. Things must be like this, and if they aren't, I will throw a tantrum. We live addicted to labeling everything that happens to us. The moment something occurs, our brain puts a sticker on it. This is good, or this is bad. I got promoted, good. I got fired, bad. I got married, good. I got divorced, bad. This addiction to judging is the root of your anxiety, because the truth is much more complex, mysterious, and vast than your small judging mind can comprehend. The truth is that you don't have the slightest idea if what just happened to you is good or bad. The parable of the farmer, the origin of wisdom. To understand this, we must travel to ancient China. This is a story that has been told by Taoist sages for millennia. Don't listen to it just as an anecdote. Listen to it as a code to hack your perception. There was an old farmer who lived in a poor village. His only valuable possession was a magnificent horse. The horse was so beautiful that even nobles came to admire it. One day the horse broke the fence and escaped to the mountains. The neighbors of the village, always quick to judge, came running to the farmer's house and said, "What a terrible misfortune! Your only horse is gone. Now you are poor and won't be able to work the land. What bad luck you have." The old farmer looked at them calmly, took a deep breath and said a single word, "Maybe." The neighbors left, thinking the old man was crazy for not crying. The following week, the horse returned from the mountains, but it didn't come alone. It brought with it a herd of 12 wild horses, strong and beautiful. Suddenly the farmer was the richest man in the village. The neighbors came running, full of envy and wonder. "How wonderful! You were right. Losing the horse was not a misfortune, it was a blessing. Now you have 13 horses. What great luck you have." The old farmer looked at them, stroked his beard, and said, "Maybe." The next day the farmer's son, a strong young man, tried to tame one of the wild horses. The animal threw him to the ground and kicked his leg, breaking it in 3 places. The son was left crippled, unable to walk. The neighbors appeared again, with their long, sad faces. What a tragedy! Those horses were a curse in disguise. "Now your only son is crippled and won't be able to help you with the harvest. You will starve. What bad luck." The old farmer, imperturbable as a mountain, replied, "Maybe." A week later, the imperial army arrived at the village. The country had entered a brutal and bloody war. The soldiers forcibly recruited all the healthy young men from the town. They took them all away to die on the battlefront, to all of them, except the farmer's son, because he had a broken leg. He was the only young man in the village who survived. The neighbors, weeping for their lost sons, looked at the farmer, and understood. End of the story. Or is it the end? If the story continued, perhaps the broken leg would prevent the son from escaping a fire. Bad luck. Or perhaps while in the hospital recovering, he would meet the love of his life. Good luck. The chain of causes and effects is infinite. The blindness of the chess player. What does the farmer teach us? He teaches us that we are blind chess players. We only see the current move. We see horse escapes and we scream disaster. But the universe, which is the grandmaster of chess, sees 20 moves ahead. The universe knows that the horse has to escape to bring the other 12. The universe knows that the leg has to break to save the boy's life. If the farmer had controlled the situation, if he had put up an unbreakable fence, he would have condemned his son to die in the war. His bad luck was his salvation. Your life works exactly the same way. That job you were fired from 5 years ago and for which you cried so much was what forced you to seek the job where you met your wife. That illness that had you in bed for a month was what made you stop. It made you reflect and change your destructive habits, saving you from a future heart attack. That romantic rejection that broke your heart was what left you free to find someone who truly values you. You know nothing. You really don't. Admitting this is the most liberating act of humility that exists. When you say this is a misfortune, you are declaring that you know the end of the movie when you are only at minute 15. It is pure arrogance. Surrender implies admitting, I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know if this is good or bad in the long run. I only know that it has happened. So I am going to stop judging it, and I am going to flow with it. The poison of should. The primary tool the ego uses to create painful expectations is the word should. Today it should be sunny. My son should be more studious. The traffic should be fluid. Every time you use the word should, you are arguing with reality. And as Byron Katie says, when you argue with reality, you lose. But only 100% of the time. Reality is what it is. The should is a childish fantasy in your head. If it is raining, it should rain because atmospheric conditions have dictated it so. To say it should be sunny is madness. If your partner left you, they should have left you. Surrender means eliminating should from your vocabulary and replacing it with is. It is raining, period. No adjectives, no drama. I have been fired, period. By removing the moral judgment, you remove the negative emotional charge. The event becomes neutral. And with a neutral event, you can work. With an unfair disaster, you can only cry. The acceptance of what is the first step to transforming it into what will be. Intention versus expectation, the arrow and the wind. Here a common doubt arises. If I have no expectations, how am I going to achieve my goals? Don't I have to expect to win to win? There is a crucial difference between intention and expectation. The architect of their life has strong intentions, but zero expectations. Intention is the direction. It is the arrow. I intend to create a successful business. I intend to heal my body. Intention sets you in motion. It gives you a north. Expectation is the rigid demand about the path. I expect to earn 10,000 euros the first month, and for it to be easy and for there to be no problems. Expectation paralyzes you as soon as the first obstacle appears. The master shoots the arrow, intention, with all their strength and passion. But they know there will be wind. They know the target might move. They know that perhaps the arrow doesn't fall where they thought, but in a better place they hadn't seen. They surrender to the arrow's trajectory. They maintain the vision of the final destination, the what. But they totally let go of the expectation of the path, the how. If you want to go from New York to Los Angeles, your intention is to arrive. If you have the rigid expectation that the flight must be perfect, without turbulence, and the food must be delicious, you are going to suffer. Because there will be turbulence. If you let go of the expectation and only maintain the intention, when the turbulence arrives, you will say, "Ah, part of the journey. Interesting." And you will remain calm. Live with intentions of steel and expectations of air. The happy ending syndrome. We are programmed by Hollywood and Disney. We believe that life is a straight line toward a happy ending where everything is resolved and the music gets louder. And when life gets difficult, Act 2 of the movie, we think something has gone wrong. Why is this happening to me? I am a good person. The law of the death of expectations reminds you that there is no end. As long as you breathe, the movie continues. The happy ending of getting married is the difficult beginning of living together. The happy ending of having a child is the beginning of insomnia and worry. The happy ending of retiring is the beginning of old age. Every end is a beginning. Every peak is the prelude to a valley. If you expect to reach a point where everything is resolved forever, if you expect that, you are chasing a ghost. That point is death. Life is constant problem solving. Happiness is not the absence of problems, unreal expectation. Happiness is the ability to surf problems with grace and curiosity. Surrender. Stop waiting for the storm to pass to be happy. Learn to dance in the rain, because there will always be a storm somewhere. The J-curve, the descent before the ascent. In the world of business and personal growth, there exists a phenomenon called the J-curve. Often, when you make a correct decision, for example, leaving a toxic job to become an entrepreneur, things do not improve immediately. They get worse. You go down on the curve. You have less money. You have more uncertainty. You are afraid. If you have linear expectations, if I do the right thing, I will do well immediately, you will panic and quit. You will think, I have made a mistake. Look how bad I am. Bad luck. The Chinese farmer would say, maybe. He knows that to jump high, you must first crouch, go down. He knows that to build a skyscraper, you must first dig a deep hole, go down. That descent is not an error. It is the foundation of the ascent. If you kill your expectations of instant gratification, you can endure the descent of the J-curve with a smile. You will know you are in the gathering momentum phase, not in the free-fall phase. Surrender gives you the patience to cross the valley without despair. The gift of deception. Do you know what the word deception really means? To take away the blindness, to exit the delusion. When you are disappointed, it is because you had an illusion, false expectation, and reality has taken it away from you. Reality has done you the favor of breaking your fantasy so that you can see the truth. Deception hurts, yes, but it is a healing pain. It hurts because your ego wanted the world to be different, but once you accept the disappointment, you are closer to the truth, and the truth makes you free. If you expected your partner to be perfect and they disappoint you by showing they are human, celebrate that. Now you can love the real person, not the Disney image you had in your head. Real love can only be born when the idealized expectation dies. Be grateful every time life breaks your illusions. It is waking you up. Micro-practice, the power of interesting. How do we apply the philosophy of the Chinese farmer in Monday morning traffic? You can't go around saying maybe to everyone like a monk, but you can use a magic internal word, interesting. An unexpected bill arrives. Automatic reaction, shit, disaster. Reaction of the surrendered, stop, breathe, say interesting. Interesting plot twist. I wonder how I'm going to solve this. I wonder what this is going to teach me. I wonder where this is taking me. The word interesting neutralizes the negative judgment. It puts you in the position of a curious observer, not a victim. It changes your brain chemistry from threat to exploration. You miss your flight. Instead of screaming at the flight attendant, say, interesting. The universe doesn't want me on that plane. Why? Maybe I'll meet someone at the airport. Maybe the plane has a breakdown. Maybe I just need to rest here. By suspending the judgment of bad, you open your eyes to the hidden opportunities in the situation. You become a detective of synchronicity. Trusting the scriptwriter. In the end, letting go of expectations is an act of deep trust. It is trusting that the scriptwriter of your life, your higher self, God, writes better stories than you do. You write boring scripts. I was born, I won everything, I never suffered, I died rich. That is a terrible movie. No one would pay to see it. There is no growth. The scriptwriter writes thrillers. He writes epic dramas. He writes romantic comedies with entanglements. He gives you challenges so you discover your strength. He takes things away so you discover your detachment. If you surrender to the script, if you stop trying to rewrite every scene by screaming, you will start to enjoy the movie. You will start to see the beauty in the plot twists. You will realize that the tragedies of Chapter 3 were necessary for the triumph of Chapter 10. Your life is a work of art in progress. Don't judge it when it's half painted. Wait, observe, trust. Protocol, the fast of judgments. To integrate this chapter, I propose an exercise in mental silence. During the next 48 hours, try to catch yourself every time you judge something as bad. You spill coffee on your shirt. Your mind screams, "Bad, how clumsy, day ruined." Your task is to catch that thought, cancel it and say, "I don't know, maybe," and go on with your day. Perhaps while going to change your shirt, you find a bill in the pocket of the other pants. Perhaps by being late because of changing, you avoid an accident on the highway. You don't know. So stop acting as if you do. Live in the mystery. The mystery is much more fun than bitter certainty. Let expectations die so your soul can truly live. Chapter 6. Radical Trust and Synchronicity. Have you ever had one of those magical days? You leave the house and the elevator is waiting for you with the door open. You arrive at the station and the train pulls in just as you step onto the platform. You think of an old song and 5 seconds later it plays on the taxi radio. You think of an old friend you haven't seen in years and they call you that same afternoon. You need an answer to a problem. You open a book at random and the exact phrase you needed to read is right there, looking you in the eye. In those moments, you feel an electric chill. You feel an electric chill down your spine. You feel that you are not alone. You feel that the universe is not a cold and dead mechanism, but a living, conscious, and playful entity that is interacting with you. We call these moments coincidences. But the psychologist Carl Jung gave them a much more precise name, synchronicity. Welcome to Chapter 6, Radical Trust and Synchronicity. So far, I have asked you to surrender. I have asked you to let go of the steering wheel. And the logical question your mind screams is, if I let go of the wheel, who is driving? Am I going to crash? This chapter is the answer. You are not going to crash because you are equipped with the most sophisticated navigation system in creation, the cosmic GPS. Synchronicity is the language this GPS uses to speak with you. When you surrender to the control of the ego, you do not enter into chaos. You enter into implicate order. You enter a dimension where things happen just in time, where resources appear just when they are needed. You enter a dimension where life stops being an uphill struggle to become a perfectly choreographed dance. What is synchronicity? A wink from God. Carl Jung defined synchronicity as a meaningful coincidence of two or more events where something more than the probability of chance is involved. It is when the internal world, your thought, desire, and the external world, physical reality, collide and reflect each other without apparent cause. Materialistic science says it's coincidence, it's statistics. If there are 8 billion people, it has to happen to someone. The magician knows the truth. There are no coincidences. Synchronicity is a glitch in the matrix. It is a crack in the veil of physical reality that allows you to glimpse the hidden machinery operating behind the curtain. It is the universe winking at you. It is saying, I see you, I hear you, you are on the right track, keep going. Why is this vital for surrender? Because synchronicity is the feedback system. When you live from control and fear, synchronicities disappear. Your life becomes mechanical, predictable, and heavy. There is only linear cause and effect. When you surrender and enter the flow, synchronicities skyrocket. Daily miracles begin to happen. The presence of synchronicity is the biological and spiritual signal that you have successfully let go of resistance. It is the confirmation that you are aligned. The universal GPS, recalculating. The best metaphor for understanding radical trust is the GPS in your car, Google Maps or Waze. Think about how you use the GPS. 1. Input. You set the destination, your intention, desire. 2. Surrender. You don't worry about how to get there. You don't need to know where all the satellites are. You don't need to know the names of all the streets. You blindly trust the algorithm. 3. Step-by-step instructions. The GPS doesn't tell you the whole path at once. It tells you only what you need to know now. Turn right in 200 meters. 4. Obedience. You turn. Now imagine the GPS tells you, turn right, but you see a dark alley, and your ego says, no, I know better. I'm going to go straight, because it looks safer. You ignore the GPS intuition, synchronicity, and go straight. What does the GPS do? Does it insult you? Does it turn off? Does it say, you are a failure, I won't help you anymore? No. The GPS says with infinite calm, recalculating route. And it plots a new path from where you are now toward your destination. This is radical trust. It is knowing that you cannot ruin your life. You cannot lose your destiny, even if you make a mistake, even if you ignore the signs, even if you get lost for years. The infinite intelligence is constantly recalculating route to lead you home. You are never lost. You are only on an alternative route. Surrender is simply to stop arguing with the GPS and start turning when it tells you to, even if the turn seems illogical at that moment. Radical trust versus blind hope. There is an abysmal difference between hoping and trusting. Hope is passive and has a vibration of doubt. I hope it turns out well, but I fear it won't. Hope implies that the outcome is uncertain. Radical trust is a state of active knowing. It is certainty. It is the same trust you have that the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't stay awake all night worried. What if the sun doesn't rise? What if it forgets? You know it will rise. It is a mechanical law. Radical trust in surrender is based on understanding the laws. It is based on the laws we saw in previous chapters. You know that if you sow, you reap. You know that if you vibrate, you attract. Therefore, your trust is not blind religious faith. It is trust in the engineering of the universe. When you jump from a plane with a parachute, when you jump, you surrender to gravity. You trust that the parachute will open not because you are a good person, but because the parachute is mechanically designed to open. The universe is designed to sustain you. Radical trust is the act of jumping into the void, knowing that either there will be ground or you will learn to fly. Fear says, I will fall. Trust says, I will float. The reticular activating system, RAS, and magic. Skeptics will say, that's not magic. It's your brain looking for patterns. They are right, but they fall short. Your brain has a filter called the reticular activating system, IRAS. The RAS filters the millions of bits of information you receive to show you only what it considers important. If you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. Did they magically appear? No. They were always there, but your RAS now highlights them. When you surrender and trust, you program your RAS to look for opportunities, solutions, and love. Suddenly, you see the partner wanted sign that you had been overlooking for 3 months. Suddenly, you hear the conversation at the next table that gives you the million-dollar idea. Is it just brain biology? No. It is brain biology collaborating with metaphysics. By changing your attention filter, you change your reality because the observer affects the observed. You don't just see more opportunities, you literally summon more opportunities by paying attention to them. Synchronicity is the point where your selective attention meets universal provision. How to read the signs, the symbolic language. The universe does not speak English. It is not going to send you an email. The universe speaks in symbols, sensations, and repetitions. To navigate with synchronicity, you must learn the language. 1. The rule of 3. If you hear something once, it's a fact. If you hear it twice, it's a coincidence. If you hear it 3 times in a short period, from different sources, it is a message. Example, a friend tells you about a book. The next day you see that book in a window. The third day a stranger is reading it on the bus. The universe is screaming at you, read it. Do not analyze it. Do it. 2. The chill of truth. When someone tells you something or you have a thought and you feel a sudden chill, goosebumps, or a sensation of expansion in your chest, that is a cosmic yes. Your body is an antenna. Truth resonates physically. If you have an idea and feel contraction, heaviness, or a knot in your stomach, it is a no or a not now. 3. Obstacles as signs. Sometimes the sign is a wall. You try to buy a plane ticket and the website crashes. You try again and the card gives an error. You call and they don't answer. The controller gets angry and forces the purchase. The surrendered reads the signal. Block, block, block. The universe is telling me not to go there. I stop. Often you will discover later that the trip would have been a disaster. Repetitive obstacles are the universe's way of telling you, you are going the wrong way, turn around. The breadcrumb theory. You don't need to see the final destination. You only need to see the next breadcrumb. Hansel and Gretel found their way home by following crumbs. Your life works the same way. A breadcrumb is that small impulsive idea, that slight curiosity, that unexpected invitation. I feel like going to that new coffee shop. Crumb 1. You go. There you find a magazine about architecture. It catches your eye. Crumb 2. You read an article about eco-houses. It fascinates you. Crumb 3. You sign up for a course. There you meet your future partner. Crumb 4. You create $1 million company. Destiny. If at the beginning you had demanded to see the $1 million company, you never would have gone to the shop. Logically, drinking coffee doesn't make you a millionaire. Linear logic cannot see the connection between the coffee and the company. Synchronicity can. Surrender consists of following the most exciting emotion available at this moment, however small it may be. Joseph Campbell called it, follow your bliss. That bliss is the thread of Ariadne that leads you out of the labyrinth. The green light, the law of ease. When you trust radically, you experience the green lights phenomenon. You drive through the city, and every light turns green. Every light turns green just as you arrive. It is a metaphor for life in flow. You arrive at the bank and there is no line. You send the document and it's approved in 5 minutes. You need parking and someone pulls out right at the door. This is not trivial. It is the confirmation that you are on the optimal timeline. When you start encountering red lights constantly, everything is difficult, everything is delayed, everything is a struggle. It is a sign that you have stepped out of the flow. You have returned to control. You have returned to resistance. Stop, breathe, surrender again. Do not try to force the red light. Wait or change the route until you find the green again. Life in surrender is characterized by ease. If it is not easy, not to be confused with effortless, it is probably not the way. What about when things go wrong? Negative synchronicity. Do losing streaks exist? Yes, they are negative synchronicities. Your washing machine breaks, then the car, then you lose your keys, all in 2 days. What is happening? It is the same mechanism. The universe is responding to your vibration of frustration and victimhood. The first thing, washing machine, was a neutral event, but you reacted with anger and victimhood. It always happens to me. That reaction sent a powerful signal to the GPS. I want more problems. And the GPS said, recalculating route toward more problems. And it sent you the car breakdown. You reacted worse. The GPS sent you losing your keys. You are in a spiral of negative manifestation. To stop it, you have to apply immediate radical surrender. In the middle of the chaos, stop, laugh. Say, okay, universe, I get the message. I'm vibrating low. I cut the cycle here. I surrender. I accept that the washing machine is broken and the car too. It's all good. By changing your reaction, you cut the signal. The streak stops. Radical trust is knowing that you have the power to restart the system at any time. Skepticism as a blockage. Doubt kills synchronicity. It's like trying to see a deer in the forest. If you go making noise and shouting, "There are no deer here," the deer hide. Cynical skepticism is noise. That's nonsense. It's coincidence. If you insist that the universe is a dead and mechanical place, the universe will respect your free will and behave like a dead and mechanical place for you. You won't see magic because your belief blocks it. But if you adopt the attitude of the pragmatic believer, I'm going to assume the universe helps me until proven otherwise, the deer start coming out. You begin to see magic because you are inviting it. Radical trust works as an invitation. You say to reality, "Show me what you can do." And reality responds, the dark night, the silence of the signs. There is a final test on the path of trust. Sometimes you surrender, you trust, and nothing happens. Absolute silence, no signs, no synchronicities, no green or red lights. You are in the desert. This is called the void. It is the ultimate test of faith. The universe is asking you, do you trust me only when I give you candy, signs? Or do you trust me also in the silence? It is like when the teacher stops speaking. The silence doesn't mean the teacher has left. It means they are watching you while you demonstrate what you've learned. In the void, your job is to maintain the frequency. Keep trusting even if you see nothing. Keep walking even if there is no map. Keep being happy even if there is no external reason. This persistence in the darkness is what generates the brightest dawn. Most surrender in the void. They return to control out of panic. The master crosses the void whistling, knowing that silence precedes the symphony. Practical technique, the surprise me game. Do you want to activate synchronicity tomorrow? Play with the universe. In the morning, upon waking, say, "Dear universe, infinite intelligence, today I surrender to your plan. I don't know what will happen, and I don't need to control it. I ask you one thing. Surprise me. Show me a clear sign that you are with me. Show me magic today." And then forget about it. Let go of the expectation of how the surprise will come. Just stay attentive and with eyes open, like a child in a toy store. I guarantee you that if you do it with sincerity and detachment, before the day ends, something will happen that will make you smile and say, "Wow, you heard me." It could be an unexpected gift, news, an encounter, or seeing something beautiful. Note those surprises. Keep a synchronicity journal. By writing it down, you give it weight. You tell your brain this is real, and your brain will look for more. Build your faith based on the evidence of these small daily miracles. Trust the flow. Follow the crumbs. Chapter 7. Embracing Uncertainty, the Fertile Void. Imagine you are at the edge of a cliff. In front of you is a thick, white, milky fog. You cannot see beyond the tip of your nose. You do not know if, by taking a step forward, you will find a solid bridge, a soft cloud that sustains you, or a free fall of 1,000 meters toward sharp rocks. Your heart beats strongly. Your palms sweat. Your mind screams, "Go back, return to firm ground, return to what you know." That place, that edge of the abyss, is where most of humanity lives. Paralyzed, terrified, clinging to the rock of the known, even if that rock is uncomfortable. Even if that rock is a prison, we prefer a known cell to an unknown forest. We prefer a familiar hell to a heaven we haven't seen. Welcome to Chapter 7, Embracing Uncertainty. In this chapter, we are going to jump off that cliff. We are going to discover that the fog is not your enemy. We are going to discover that what you call uncertainty, and what causes you so much anxiety, is actually the fertile void. It is the womb of God. It is the only place in all the cosmos where creation is possible. If you know exactly what is going to happen tomorrow, you are dead. You are living a repetition. You are a scratched record. Life, true life, the electric and expansive life, only occurs in the terrain of what you do not know. The price of freedom is the loss of security, and today we are going to pay that price gladly. The addiction to certainty is the ego's drug. The human being is an addict to certainty. We seek guarantees for everything. We want a permanent contract to have job security. We want a marriage certificate to have emotional security. We want life insurance, pension plans, and extended warranties for our toasters. We spend our lives building fortresses of certainty to keep chaos at bay. Why? Because our reptilian brain, designed millions of years ago in the African savannah, equates uncertainty with death. If you heard a noise in the bushes and didn't know what it was, uncertainty, it was safest to assume it was a lion and run. The one who stayed to investigate, curiosity, died. We are descendants of the paranoiacs. That is why your body reacts with a fight or flight response to rent payments. Your body reacts as if a predator were chasing you. But here is the trap. Certainty is an illusion. It does not exist. It is a lie we tell ourselves so we can sleep. You can have the most secure job in the world and be fired tomorrow due to a corporate merger. You can have the most robust health and have an accident today. You can have the most faithful partner and they could fall out of love tomorrow. There is no firm ground. We are floating in space on a ball of rock that spins at 107,000 kilometers per hour. Seeking security in the external is like trying to drive a nail into a cloud. The only real security is the capacity to navigate insecurity. The only stability is the capacity to flow with change. As long as you remain addicted to certainty, you will be a slave to fear. Quantum physics, the wave and the particle. To love uncertainty, we must understand the physics of reality. In quantum physics, there is the famous double-slit experiment. Light and matter can behave in two ways, as a particle or as a wave. The particle is solid matter. It has a fixed location, it is predictable, it is the known, it is certainty. But it is frozen. It cannot be anything else. The wave is pure energy. It has no fixed location. It is everywhere at once. It is the unknown. It is uncertainty. But it is infinite potentiality. Here is the metaphysical key. For something to manifest in your life, a car, a house, a love, the wave, possibility, has to collapse into a particle, reality. But to create something new, you first have to dissolve the old particle. You have to turn it back into a wave. You have to return to uncertainty. If your life is fixed, you have total certainty. You are trapped in the particle state. Nothing can change. It is a cement block. To change your life, you have to enter the wave state. You have to enter the fog. That moment when you leave your job and don't have another yet, you are in the wave state. Everything is possible. That moment when you end a relationship and you are alone, you are in the wave state. The anxiety you feel is simply the vertigo of having infinite possibilities. It is not danger, it is potency. The fertile void is the quantum field before the decision is made. It is where miracles are cooked. If you flee from uncertainty, you flee from the field of creation. You condemn yourself to recycling your past forever. The womb versus the tomb. When we look at the darkness of the unknown, the ego screams, "It's a tomb, it's the end." The spirit whispers, "It's not a tomb, it's a womb. It's the beginning." Both are dark, closed and mysterious places. The difference is what happens inside. In the tomb, things decompose. In the womb, things are gestated. Surrender is the act of trusting that the darkness you are in right now is a womb. You are being gestated. You are in the phase of the caterpillar inside the cocoon. Imagine the caterpillar. When it enters the cocoon, its body dissolves. It literally becomes an unrecognizable biological soup. It loses its form. It loses its identity. It loses its certainty of being a caterpillar. If it had human consciousness, it would be having a panic attack. I'm dying. I don't know who I am. But in the middle of that soup, there are imaginal cells which contain the code of the butterfly. The total uncertainty of the soup is necessary for molecular restructuring. If the caterpillar clung to its form, it would never fly. You are in the soup. You have lost your job or your identity or your direction. You feel dissolved. Do not be afraid. You are not dying. You are transforming. Embrace the dissolution. Stop trying to go back to being the caterpillar. Allow the process to turn you into something you cannot yet imagine. The liminal space, the trapeze artist. There is an anthropological concept called liminal space, from the Latin limes, limit or threshold. It is the in-between space. You are no longer where you were, but you are not yet where you are going. It is the hallway between two rooms. It is the moment when the trapeze artist has let go of the first bar and is flying through the air, but has not yet grabbed the second bar. That moment of suspension in the void is pure terror for the ego. There is no grip. There is no control. There is only gravity and faith. Most people, upon feeling the fear of the liminal space, try to go back. They try to grab the old bar, go back to the X, go back to the hated job, or they try to grab anything in the air, desperate, and they fall. The mastery of surrender consists of learning to float. It consists of saying, I am in the air, I have nothing to hold on to, and it's okay. I trust that the second bar is coming toward me. That second of flight is where you feel more alive than ever. It is where magic happens. If you cannot stand the void between the bars, you'll never cross. The boredom of omniscience. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine I give you a book titled Your Life. In it is written in exact detail everything that will happen to you until the day of your death. You know what day you will marry. You know what day you will divorce. You know the result of every football game. You know the end of every movie before seeing it. You know what day you will fall ill and what day you will heal. You have absolute certainty, zero uncertainty. Question: would you want to live that life? It would be a torture. It would be a hell of boredom. It would be like watching a movie where all the spoilers have already been told. It would have no emotion, no surprise. There would be no point in getting out of bed. What gives life flavor is, precisely, not knowing. It is the surprise. It is the mystery. Uncertainty is what makes a kiss exciting. It is what makes a business an adventure. So why on earth do you spend the day praying to eliminate uncertainty? Why do you ask for spoilers from the universe? Tell me what's going to happen. If the universe told you, it would ruin the experience for you. Surrender is returning the book to the shelf without opening it and saying, I prefer to live it. I prefer the adventure. Embracing uncertainty is embracing the adventurous nature of existence. Fear as a compass, revisited. In the fertile void, fear changes its function. It is no longer a signal of stop. It is a signal of you are awake. When everything is safe and routine, you go on autopilot. You are a sleepwalker. You drive to work without remembering the road. When you enter unknown territory, uncertainty, your senses sharpen. You are hyper-present. You look around, you listen, you feel. You are alive. Uncertainty forces you to be in the now. You cannot plan in chaos. You can only react to the present moment. Therefore, uncertainty is the most potent tool for the awakening of consciousness. It takes you out of the mind, future, past, and nails you into reality, present. If you are afraid, be glad. It means you are entering virgin territory. It means you are expanding your map. Ancient sailors put on the edges of their maps, Hic sunt dracones, here be dragons. Most did not go. Explorers went toward the dragons because they knew that where there are dragons, there are treasures. Your treasure is in the area of the map you haven't drawn yet. The intelligence of the fog. Sometimes the universe puts a deliberate fog in front of your eyes. It doesn't let you see step 3, it only lets you see step 1. Why? Because if you saw step 3, you would run away. If the universe had shown you 10 years ago all you'd suffer, you'd quit. The fog is mercy. The fog protects you from the immensity of the task. It forces you to concentrate on the only manageable thing, the next step. I don't know how I'm going to build the empire. I only know that today I have to register the web domain. Good? Do that. Tomorrow the fog will lift 1 more meter. Trusting in uncertainty is trusting that information will be revealed based on the need to know basis. You don't need to know everything today. You only need enough to act today. Excess information is paralysis. Stop playing God. Wanting certainty is wanting to be God. It is wanting to have omniscient control over the infinite variables of time and space. It is a burden too heavy for an evolved primate like you. When you let go of the need to know, you let go of the burden of being God. You return to being human. You return to being the son, not the father. You can relax. I don't know what is going to happen, and it is not my job to know. My job is to be prepared and willing. There is an immense peace in conscious ignorance. Socrates said, I only know that I know nothing. And he was the wisest man in Greece. The fool believes he knows what is going to happen and gets distressed when he fails. The wise man knows he knows nothing, and therefore he is ready for everything. Flexibility adapts to the unforeseen. Technique: relabeling anxiety. Physiologically, anxiety and excitement are almost identical. Both raise the pulse, both generate cortisol, Both create butterflies in the stomach. The only difference is the mental label you put on it. If you label uncertainty as danger, you feel anxiety, fear. If you label uncertainty as novelty, you feel excitement, adventure. When you feel that knot in your stomach before the unknown, do not try to calm down. Simply change the label. Say, I am not scared. I am excited. I don't know what is going to happen. How exciting. Trick your brain. Tell it you are on a roller coaster, not in a car accident. By relabeling the sensation, you convert paralyzing energy into propulsion energy. You become an addict to the adrenaline of evolution. Start saying, I wonder what wonderful thing is about to come out of this chaos. Curiosity is the antidote to fear. You cannot be curious and terrified at the same time. Choose curiosity. The void as a magnet. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you create an empty space in your life, you leave a partner, you leave a job, the universe is forced by physical law to fill it. If you cling to the old out of fear of uncertainty, the space is occupied. It is occupied by old and broken furniture. New furniture cannot enter. To receive the new, you first have to endure the empty room. You have to stand looking at those 4 white walls and not knowing what will come. Many, seeing the empty room, panic and bring the trash back. They return to the toxic ex, return to the mediocre job. At least I have something. Error. You have filled the void with trash. You have stopped the renewal process. Embracing the fertile void means sitting in the empty room, breathing the echo, and waiting with faith. Know that the universe's moving truck is on the way with solid gold furniture, but the truck will only unload if it sees space. Defend your void. Do not fill it with cheap distractions. Do not fill it with noise. Leave it empty until what you truly deserve arrives. The dark night of the soul. Revisited. Sometimes uncertainty lasts a long time. Months, years. It is the crossing of the desert. This is where the steel of the soul is forged. If uncertainty were brief, anyone could stand it. When it stretches, that's when you discover who you really are. In the desert, all masks fall off. You discover you don't need as much as you thought. You discover an internal strength you didn't know you had. When you come out of the desert, and you always do, you are invincible, because you have already looked the void in the eye. You're no longer afraid of losing anything, because you already lost everything and survived. That is true security, knowing you can lose it all, enter total uncertainty, and get back up. Once you integrate that, you are free forever. Protocol. The daily leap of faith. To train your uncertainty muscle, do small things where you don't know how they will end. Break your control routines. 1. Get lost. Go for a walk or drive without a destination. Turn into streets you don't know. Prohibit yourself from using GPS. 2. Ask for the impossible. Ask for a discount in a store where people don't haggle. Ask a stranger for a favor. Expose yourself to rejection. 3. Do something you are bad at. Sign up for a dance class if you are clumsy. Put yourself in situations where you don't control the quality. 3. Delegate without supervising. Ask someone to do something important and do not check it. Feel the terror of not controlling and let it be. Train your brain to see that not knowing does not kill. The more you expose yourself to microdoses of voluntary uncertainty, the more immune you'll be. Chapter 8. Surrender in the mirror. Relationships and self-love. Look at the person next to you, or think of the person you love most in this world. Now ask yourself a brutally honest question. Do you love them, or do you love the image of what you want them to be? Are you relating to a real human being? Are you relating to a person, or are you trying to direct a play where you are the scriptwriter, and they are actors who must follow your instructions? Welcome to the bloodiest battlefield of control, human relationships. It is easy to surrender to the weather. It is relatively easy to surrender to the economy. But to surrender to people, to let others be exactly who they are without trying to change them, correct them or save them, that is supreme mastery. Most of us do not love. We micromanage. We use people as accessories for our own happiness. If you change, I will feel safe. If you call me, I will feel valuable. If you stop doing that, I will stop being afraid. We have turned love into a hostage transaction. I give you affection. You give me obedience to my expectations. In this chapter, we are going to break that toxic contract. We're going to discover that the only way to keep love is to let it go. We are going to discover that relationships are not here to make you happy. They are here to make you conscious. They are relentless mirrors. And the only way to clean the mirror is radical surrender. The myth of the better half, codependency. We have been sold the lie that we are half oranges looking for our other half to be complete. This is spiritual poison. If you are a half, you are incomplete. You are lacking. And two incomplete people do not make a whole. They make two beggars fighting for each other's crumbs of attention. Surrender in relationships begins by surrendering to your own wholeness. You are the whole orange. You do not need anyone to be happy. Read that again. You do not need anyone. You can desire someone. You can choose someone. You can enjoy someone. But you do not need them like you need oxygen. When you need someone, you cannot love them. You can only consume them. Need destroys freedom. And without freedom, love rots and turns into possession. Surrender is the act of letting go of the claw of need. It is saying to the other, I love you so much that I renounce the need for you to complete me. I take responsibility for my own void. The mirror. Everything that bothers you is yours. The law of correspondence is brutal here. What irritates you about others is only a projection of what you have not resolved in yourself. Carl Jung called it the shadow. If it deeply bothers you that your partner is messy, you have a conflict with your own chaos or your excessive rigidity. If it bothers you that your friend is selfish, it is because you have not allowed yourself to be healthily selfish, or because you judge your own hidden selfishness. The other is just a mirror. When you try to change the other, you are like a cat scratching the mirror to remove a stain from its own face. It is useless. It is madness. Surrender in relationships means stop cleaning the mirror and start cleaning your own face. When you surrender, you stop saying, you have to change. You start saying, thank you for showing me where I still have buttons that get pushed. Thank you for showing me my lack of patience. Thank you for showing me my insecurity. The other stops being the enemy and becomes the teacher. By surrendering to the lesson the mirror offers, the annoyance disappears. And magically, often the other changes, because they no longer feel your resistance. Letting go of the script, the tyranny of expectations. We all have a secret script in our heads for every person in our life. My mother should be more affectionate. My boss should recognize my talent. My partner should guess what's wrong without me telling them. When the actors of reality do not follow your fantasy script, you get angry. You punish them with silence or shouting. You are telling them, you have stepped out of character. Get back to the script. That is not love. That is stage direction. Surrender is burning the script. It is accepting people as they are right now. Not as they could be, not as they promised to be, not as they were at the beginning, but as they are today, with their traumas, their fears, their quirks, and their light. I accept you completely. I have no plan for you. I have no hidden agenda to improve you. Do you know what happens when you do this? The other person feels a seismic relief. For the first time in their life, they do not feel judged. They do not feel pressured. They feel seen. And in that space of radical acceptance, alchemy occurs. People only change when they feel accepted as they are. Pressure generates resistance. Acceptance generates transformation. Loving detachment. Loving with an open hand. The Buddha said that the origin of suffering is attachment. In the West, we confuse attachment with love. If I'm not jealous, I don't love you. If I don't suffer when you leave, I don't love you. False attachment is fear. Love is freedom. Imagine you catch a bird and squeeze it in your fist so it won't escape. You say you love it, but you are killing it. The bird does not sing, it only gasps for air. And as soon as you open your hand, it will flee and never return. Now imagine you offer your open hand with seeds. The bird comes freely. It eats, it sings, it leaves, and it comes back. It comes back because it wants to, not because it's trapped. That is loving detachment. I love you and therefore I set you free. You are free to be you. You are free even to leave. This terrifies the ego. If I let them free, they will go with someone else. Perhaps. And if they leave, They were never yours. Surrender is the courage to bet on the truth. Do you want someone by your side who is there out of obligation or fear? Or do you want someone who chooses to be with you every morning in total freedom? The only way to have the second is to offer the open hand. Manipulation versus inspiration. The controller uses manipulation, guilt, shame, rewards and punishments, passive-aggressive silence. If you loved me, you would do this. The surrendered one uses inspiration, being the example. Gandhi did not manipulate anyone. He was the change. If you want your partner to be healthier, don't hide the cookies or criticize them. Get yourself in the best shape of your life. Surrender to your own process. Your light will shine so bright that the other, through resonance, will want to join you, or they will move away. Both options are correct. Surrender means renouncing being anyone's savior. You cannot save anyone who does not want to be saved. Trying to carry someone to the top of the mountain only results in both of you falling. Let go of the load. You go up. From the top, throw them a rope. If they grab it, good. If not, keep loving them from the peak, but do not go down into the pit. When surrendering means leaving, boundaries. Careful. Surrender does not mean enduring abuse. It does not mean being a doormat. It does not mean, I accept that you hit me because it is your nature. That is not spiritual surrender. That is low self-esteem and cowardice. Sometimes the highest form of surrender is surrendering to the truth that the relationship is over. Surrendering to the evidence. Surrendering to the evidence that this person is toxic to your soul. The ego clings. I can change them. I have invested a lot of time. What will people say? The spirit surrenders to reality. This doesn't work. This hurts. I love myself enough to leave. Setting firm boundaries is an act of surrender to self-love. I surrender to my dignity, and my dignity says I do not accept shouting in my house. By setting the boundary, you are not controlling the other. You are controlling your space. I will not be where there is shouting. If the other wants to shout, they are free to do so, and elsewhere. This distinction is vital. Control tries to dictate others' behavior. Surrender dictates your own location and availability. Grief and loss. All relationships end, whether by breakup or by death. It is the law of impermanence. The pain of grief is natural. The suffering of grief is resistance. They shouldn't have died. They shouldn't have left me. These phrases are wars against reality, and they are wars you always lose. Surrender in grief is allowing yourself to feel the pain. It is feeling it without anesthesia, but without a victim narrative. It is allowing yourself to cry until you are empty. It is accepting that the cycle has ended. When you surrender to pain, pain flows. It is like a giant wave. If you relax, it rolls you over and leaves you on the shore, clean. If you fight the wave, you drown. Surrender allows you to honor what was, be grateful for it and let it go so the new can come. While you remain clinging to the ghost of what you lost, your hands are full and you cannot embrace what is coming. Forgiveness as energetic hygiene. Grudge is the most toxic form of attachment. To hate someone is to be chained to them. If you are obsessed with revenge or with them asking for forgiveness, that person lives in your head rent-free. They control you. Forgiveness is the supreme act of surrender. It is not saying what you did was okay. It is saying, I renounce the hope of a better past. I renounce my right to punish you. I let you go, not for you, but because I refuse to drink poison waiting for you to die. By forgiving, you cut the energetic cable. You reclaim your energy. You surrender to divine justice and take off the judge's robe. Universe, I leave this case to you. I am going to be happy. That is freedom. Radical self-love, the internal marriage. It all comes down to this. Your relationship with others is an exact reflection of your relationship with yourself. If you criticize yourself internally, you will accept external criticism. If you abandon yourself, you will attract external abandonment. The ultimate surrender is surrendering to oneself. It is to stop fighting against who you are. Stop trying to be taller, smarter, more outgoing. Stop hating your thighs or your shyness. Surrender to your original design. This is what I am, and it is enough. When you accept yourself radically with lights and shadows, you become invulnerable. No one can use your weaknesses against you if you have already accepted them. When you give yourself the love you sought outside, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. Need disappears. Choice appears. Solitude as a sanctuary. Many people cling to bad relationships because they are terrified of solitude. Solitude for the ego is failure. Nobody loves me. For the spirit, solitude is solitude. It is glory. It is the space where you can hear yourself, where you can recharge, where you can dialogue with God. To have healthy relationships, you first have to learn to be alone and enjoy it. If you are bored being alone, it is because you are in bad company. Surrender to the silence. Learn to take yourself out to dinner. Learn to travel alone. Discover that you are fascinating company. When you lose the fear of being alone, you lose the fear of being left. And when you lose the fear of being left, you can love without conditions, without jealousy, and without control. You become dangerous in the good sense. You are unmanipulable. Protocol, the cord-cutting ritual. To heal your relationships, visualize this. 1. Close your eyes. Visualize the person you have conflict or attachment with in front of you. 2. Visualize cords of light or ropes coming out of your solar plexus and connecting to theirs. Through there flows manipulation, fear, guilt, and need. 2. Say out loud, I set you free and I set myself free. I return your power to you and I reclaim mine. I renounce changing you. I renounce controlling you. I renounce needing you. I accept you or I let you go. 4. Visualize a sword of light and cut the cords. Watch the cords retract. Feel your energy returning to you. Feel yourself filling up with yourself. Watch the other person smile. Their soul thanks the freedom and walk away or stay, but now as a separate individual, not a parasite. Feel the peace. Do this whenever you feel anxiety about someone. Chapter 9. The point of power, the now. Where are you? Do not answer me with your geographical location. Do not tell me in the car or at my house. Where is your attention? Most likely your body is here, listening to my voice, but your mind is miles away or years away. Perhaps you are reviewing an argument you had yesterday, the past. You are reliving the pain, rewriting the script, thinking I should have said this, or perhaps you are projecting a horror movie about next month, the future. Will I have money? Will the project go well? What will happen if I get sick? You have become a ghost. You inhabit a physical body, but your consciousness is not in it. Your house is empty. The lights are on, but no one is home. You live in psychological time. And I have devastating and liberating news for you. Psychological time does not exist. The past is only a memory trace in your brain now. The future is only an imaginative simulation in your brain now. Never, ever in the entire history of the cosmos has anything happened in the past or in the future. Everything that has occurred occurred in the now. Everything that will occur in the now. Only this eternal instant exists, this breath, this heartbeat. And yet, you spend 90% of your life fleeing from this instant, using it only as a means to reach a better place. You believe that happiness is there in the future, when you get the money, the partner, or enlightenment. But life is not there. Life is only here. If you are not here, you are not alive. Welcome to Chapter 9, The Point of Power. Surrender is impossible in the future. You cannot plan to surrender. Tomorrow I will surrender. That is ego. Surrender is an immediate act. It is a door that only opens in the present. If you want to access the infinite power of the universe, you have to find the plug. And the plug is only in the now. The waiting room syndrome. The most common spiritual illness of modern humanity is waiting. Observe yourself. How much of your life do you spend waiting? Waiting for the weekend, waiting for the holidays, waiting for the children to grow up, waiting to retire, waiting to lose weight. You live in a state of parenthesis. You believe that your real life will start later when your problems are resolved. Right now, you are in the waiting room, enduring the boring or annoying present. This is a tragedy. You are despising the only gift you have, the present moment. You are treating the now as an obstacle to be overcome or as an enemy to be destroyed. And since the now is the only thing you have, by making it your enemy, you declare yourself an enemy of life itself. It is no wonder that life treats you poorly. You are constantly insulting it with your desire to be somewhere else. Surrender implies leaving the waiting room. It implies saying, "This is what there is. This moment, exactly as it is my life. It is not a rehearsal. It is not a means to an end. It is the end in itself." When you stop waiting and start being, the energy you spent projecting yourself into the future returns to you. You become intense, you become charismatic, you become powerful. A person who is totally present is magnetic. They are a rare phenomenon in a world of distracted zombies. The anatomy of anxiety and depression. If we understand the mechanics of time, we understand the root of mental health. Depression is an excess of past. It is the refusal to accept that what happened no longer exists. It is keeping the pain alive by re-injecting it into the now through compulsive thinking. Anxiety is an excess of future. It is the refusal to trust that you will be able to handle the present moment when it arrives. It is wanting to live tomorrow with the resources of today. The ego cannot survive in the now. The ego needs time, it needs problems. It needs a poor me story, past, or a someday I will be great story, future. If you bring all your attention to the present moment, the ego dissolves. Take the test. Stop. Look around you. Listen to the sounds. Feel your body. In this precise nanosecond, without thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. Do you have a problem? Do not tell me, "Yes, I have to pay the mortgage on Tuesday." That is Tuesday. That is future. That is a thought. Right now in this second, are you lacking air? Are you burning? Is a tiger eating you? Probably not. Probably you are sitting, breathing, reasonably comfortable. In the now, there are no problems. There are only situations. A situation is managed or accepted. A problem is a situation plus a mental story about how terrible it is. Surrender occurs when you withdraw the story and stay only with the situation. The situation is manageable. It's cold. I put on a coat. The problem is overwhelming. It's cold. I hate this country. I'll never be happy. Cut the time. Cut the drama. Stay in the now. Vertical time versus horizontal time. Imagine a cross. The horizontal line is chronological time. It is your story. You are born at point A, you die at point B. Past to future. It is useful for meeting at a certain time or building a bridge. The vertical line is the time of being. It is the depth of the moment. It is the now. Most people live crawling along the horizontal line, always running toward the next point. Superficial. Surrender is a vertical movement. It is ceasing to run forward and sinking inward. It is deepening into the instant. Have you noticed that when you are in a serious crisis, an accident, an emergency, time seems to stop? Or when you are in an orgasm or watching an incredible sunset? Horizontal time disappears. You enter the vertical dimension. You feel brutal peace and intensity. You are out of time. That is your home. Your goal is to live in the vertical dimension, depth, consciousness, peace, while moving functionally through the horizontal. Appointments, work, plans. Do not lose depth for speed. The narrow gate. In the Bible, it speaks of the narrow gate that leads to the kingdom of heaven. Metaphysically, that gate is the now. It is narrow because you cannot pass through it with your luggage. You cannot pass with your grudges from the past. You cannot pass with your worries of the future. To enter the now, you have to leave the suitcases at the door. You have to enter naked of concepts. That is why surrender is the key. Surrendering is letting go of the suitcases. I let go of my victim story. I let go of my obsession with future success. I enter this moment clean. And upon passing the gate, you find that the kingdom, peace, joy, connection with God, was here all the time. You never left paradise. You only fell asleep dreaming of the future. Manifestation and the 0 point. Let's talk about the engineering of reality. From where do you create your future? Many people try to create the future from the future. They visualize with anxiety, projecting themselves forward. I want to be there. That creates lack. The magician creates from the now. The now is the 0 point. It is where energy is moldable. If you want a future of abundance, you have to find the frequency of abundance in the now. You cannot wait to have the money to feel abundant. You have to look at your coffee cup right now. Feel the abundance of that coffee. You have to look at the sun and feel the abundance of heat. You have to saturate the present moment with the emotion of what you desire. The law of attraction does not respond to what you will do tomorrow. It responds to what you vibrate today. If your now is full of waiting and boredom, you are vibrating waiting, and you will attract more waiting. If you fill your now with gratitude and presence, you will attract more reasons to be grateful. The future takes care of itself if you take care of the present. Accepting the unacceptable, the as-if. Here we reach the most radical practice of surrender. Eckhart Tolle gives us the master formula. Accept whatever the present moment contains as if you had chosen it. This is counterintuitive. If you are in a traffic jam, your ego screams, "I didn't choose this, I hate this." That resistance creates suffering and stress. The practice is to say, I am in a traffic jam, I cannot get out. Therefore, I choose to be in a traffic jam. If it is inevitable, I make it mine. By choosing what already is, you eliminate friction. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become a participant. Suddenly, the traffic jam stops bothering you. You relax. You look at the sky. You listen to music. You have transformed lead into gold. If you are sad, say, I choose this sadness now, I give it permission to be here. And the sadness changes texture. It stops being a black pit and becomes a soft rain. Surrender in the now is total non-resistance to the form this instant takes. Say yes to the moment. Multitasking is the anti-now. Our culture adores multitasking. Doing 3 things at once is seen as efficiency. Spiritually, it is an abomination. It is fragmenting your soul. When you are eating but thinking about work, you are neither eating nor working. You are a half-ghost in 2 places. You do not enjoy the food, the body does not assimilate it well, and you do not solve the work problem. Surrender in the now is unitasking. Do one thing at a time. When you walk, walk. Do not plan. Feel your feet. Feel the air. When you speak with someone, speak. Do not look at your phone, look them in the eyes. When you wash the dishes, feel the water, smell the soap. Turn every small action into a sacred ritual. Zen monks reach enlightenment sweeping the floor. They surrender to the action of sweeping. There is no me sweeping, there is only sweeping. That fusion with the action is happiness. Happiness is not doing extraordinary things. It is doing ordinary things with an extraordinary presence. The death of the psychological self. The ego feeds on time. The ego is a story. I am John. This happened to me in 1990. I suffered that, and I hope to achieve this other thing. If you remove the past and the future, who are you? In the pure now, without memory and without projection, what remains? A conscious presence remains. An I am without surnames remains. That terrifies the ego because it feels like dying. That is why the ego bombards you with distracting thoughts. Think of the future. Worry. The ego knows that if you stay in the now, you will discover. You will discover that you are something much larger than your small personal story. You will discover you are the universe's consciousness itself. Surrendering to the now is effectively a small death. It is the death of the fictitious character for the birth of the real being, the pain body and the now. Sometimes the now is unpleasant, it hurts. Sometimes the now contains a toothache or a breakup. How do I surrender to that? Here is where you must distinguish between physical emotional pain and the mental reaction. Pain lives in the now. Suffering lives in time. If your head hurts, the pain is a pulsating sensation here and now. Suffering is thinking, what if it's a tumor? Why does this happen to me today? That mental dialogue amplifies the pain by 10. Surrender implies entering into the pure sensation. Close your eyes and go to the pain. Do not call it pain, call it intense energy. Observe it. What color is it? Does it move? If you observe it with curiosity, without labeling it, without fleeing toward the future, you will discover that it is bearable. By removing time, you take away its power to torture you. You only have to endure this second of pain, and then this one, and then this one. Anyone can endure 1 second of pain. What you cannot endure is the idea of eternal pain, but eternity does not exist, only this second. Protocol, sensory anchoring. How do you get out of your head and into the now when you are in an anxiety spiral? Use your senses. They are the anchor. Your mind may be in 2030, but your body is always in the now. Use the 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Look at 5 things you can see right now. Describe them mentally in detail. Touch 4 things you can feel. The fabric of my pants, the cold table. Listen to 3 sounds you can hear. Distant traffic, your own breath. Smell 2 things, taste 1 thing. By doing this, you force your attention to come down from the mental cloud and land in physical reality. You cut the thought loop. Anxiety disappears instantly because it cannot exist where there is full sensory presence. Do this 10 times a day. Train your brain to come home. Chapter 10. The Sailor's Dance. Inspired Action versus Effort. We have reached the point where most people misunderstand everything we have talked about. The ego hears surrender and translates it as laziness. The ego hears letting go of control and translates it as irresponsibility. You imagine that if you apply this book, you will spend the day sitting on the sofa, eating potato chips, waiting for a sack of money to fall down the chimney and for the love of your life to ring the doorbell. Let me be brutally clear. That is not going to happen. The universe rewards movement. Life is kinetic. Surrendering does not mean doing nothing. Surrendering means stop doing things the wrong way. It means stop doing things from fear, from brute force, and from anxiety. There is an abysmal difference between inaction and inspired action. There is a cosmic difference between effort, friction, and flow, potency. Welcome to Chapter 10, The Sailor's Dance. To understand how to operate in the physical world without losing the spiritual connection, we will use the ultimate metaphor, the rowboat versus the sailboat. Until today, you have lived your life in a rowboat. You have sat with your back to your destination, because to row, you have to look backward. You have gripped the oars tightly. You have used your own muscles. You have sweated. You have developed calluses. You have exhausted yourself. And yes, you have moved. You have advanced a few kilometers. But the energy cost has been devastating, and you are limited by your own physical resistance. If you stop, the boat stops. You are alone against the ocean. Surrender is transforming your boat into a sailboat. The sailor of the sailboat also works. He is not asleep, but his work is different. He does not generate the force that moves the ship. The wind, universal intelligence, life energy, generates the force. The sailor's job is to hoist the sails, intention, and adjust the course, inspired action. He does this to catch that wind. The sailor looks forward, not backward. And when he catches the wind, he advances at a speed the rower could never dream of, and he does it with elegance, in silence, and with a sense of euphoria, not exhaustion. Your goal is not to stop moving. Your goal is to let go of the oars and learn how to navigate. What is inspired action? The sacred impulse. Inspired action is that which you perform when you are in a state of alignment. It is the action born from I want to, not I have to. How does it feel? It feels light. It feels obvious. It feels like the logical next step. Often it doesn't even feel like work. It feels like play. It's when you start writing and 3 hours pass as if they were minutes. It's when you have a sudden idea to call someone. You do it without hesitation, and that call changes your career. It's when you clean your house not because you should, but because you feel an impulse to create order and beauty. The main characteristic of inspired action is that it gives you energy instead of taking it away. After a day of inspired action, you are physically tired but spiritually euphoric. You feel full. Forced action, effort, is the opposite. It is born from fear and obligation. I have to make these 50 cold calls or I won't pay the rent. It feels heavy. You have to drag yourself to start. You are constantly distracted. It drains your energy. After 2 hours, you feel empty, irritated, and depressed. Effort is friction. It is your personal will rubbing against the resistance of the world. Inspired action is lubrication. Wu Wei, the art of not forcing. The Chinese Taoists have a concept for this, Wu Wei. It is often erroneously translated as non-action. The correct translation would be effortless action or action without interference. It does not mean you don't chop wood. It means you chop the wood following the grain. If you cut with the grain, the wood opens by itself. If you cut against the grain, you need to strike 100 times and dull the axe. The master of Wu Wei observes the situation. He waits for the moment. And when he acts, his action is minimal, but his impact is maximal. It is the sniper who fires a single bullet versus the frightened soldier who fires 1,000 bullets into the air hoping to hit something. Surrender gives you the mental clarity to see the grain of the wood in your life. It allows you to see where the open door is instead of hitting the closed wall. Society glorifies hard work, hitting the wall. Nature glorifies efficiency, passing through the door. Water does not work hard to reach the sea. It simply flows through the path of least resistance. Waiting for the wave, active patience. Let's go back to the sea. Think of a surfer. The surfer spends 90% of his time waiting. He is sitting on his board looking at the horizon. To an ignorant outside observer, it looks like he is doing nothing. He looks lazy. But the surfer is in a state of relaxed alertness. He is scanning the ocean. He is feeling the currents. If he tried to row when there are no waves, he would tire himself uselessly. If he tried to surf a wave that has already broken, he would fall. He has to wait for the precise moment when the ocean's energy rises, and when the wave arrives, massive action. He rows with fury. He stands up. He balances his weight. That moment of action is intense, but it is a response to the sea's energy, not his own creation. You are the surfer. Opportunities, waves come from the universe. You do not create them. Your job is to be in the water, available, to be attentive, conscious, and to row when you see the opportunity. Action. Many people live rowing frantically in a flat sea. Other people see the wave coming and remain paralyzed by fear, paralysis by analysis. The sailor's dance is knowing when to wait and when to attack. If your intuition tells you, not now, rest. Do not feel guilty. You are waiting for the wave. If it screams, now, move. The nudge of the universe. How do you know when to act? The universe has a notification system. The nudge. It is a gentle, recurring thought that pushes you towards something. It is not a voice of fear shouting, do it or you will die. It is a calm voice. It suggests, it would be a good idea to do this. You should write to John. You should go down this street today. Often these nudges make no logical sense. Why am I going to write to John if I haven't seen him in 10 years? The logical mind wants to see the whole map. The surrendered mind, the sailor, trusts the wind. If you feel the nudge, act. The golden rule is, life rewards action, but life miraculously rewards quick, inspired action. Hesitation kills inspiration. Inspiration has a very short half-life. It is like the foam of the wave. If you have the idea to do something good, do it in the next 5 seconds. Train your muscles to obey your intuition immediately. You will become a sharpened tool in the hands of the divinity, planning or improvising. The controller makes rigid 5-year plans. If step A fails, he collapses. The surrendered one does not make rigid plans. He has clear intentions and flexible strategies. The sailor knows he wants to go to the east port. Intention. But if the wind blows from the north, he cannot go in a straight line. He has to zigzag. He has to improvise. He has to adapt to the day's weather. Live your life with a compass, not with a train map. The compass tells you where north is, your purpose, your values. The train map tells you exact schedules that, if they fail, leave you stranded. Wake up in the morning knowing what you want to achieve, but stay totally open to how the day is going to unfold. Perhaps your plan was to work in the office, but you receive a call for a meeting outside. The controller says, no, I have to follow my agenda. The surrendered says, the wind has changed. I adjust the sails. I'm going to the meeting. Often that annoying deviation is the shortcut you were looking for, the myth of the comfort zone. We are told that magic happens outside the comfort zone. And it's true, but it's misunderstood. It's interpreted as meaning you have to suffer, that you have to be in the panic zone. No. Inspired action often occurs in the zone of genius. It is that zone where things are easy for you, but difficult for others. If you are good at communicating, public speaking is inspired action for you. For someone else, it's torture. Surrendering means accepting your natural gifts and using them instead of trying to force yourself to do things you aren't designed for just because they make money. If you are a fish, inspired action is swimming. If you try to climb a tree because society says monkeys are successful, that is effort. That is suffering. Surrender to your nature. What is it that you do with natural ease? What would you do for free? Do more of that. The law of the void and cleaning action. Sometimes inspired action is not building but destroying or cleaning. If you feel stuck and don't know what to do, the best action is to create a void. Clean your house, throw away old papers, delete emails, finish pending tasks. This is a physical action that moves stagnant energy. You are demonstrating to the universe that you are ready for the new by ordering the old. Many times, while you are folding clothes or scrubbing dishes, your rational mind turns off and zap, inspiration enters. Never underestimate the power of mundane tasks done with presence. They are the landing strip for miracles. And what if I have to do things I hate? This is the million-dollar question. Okay, I surrender, but I have to pay taxes and go to a job I don't like. You have two options. 1. Change what you do, leave the job if your intuition tells you to jump. 2. Change how you do it. Surrender to the task. If you have to scrub a bathroom, you can do it with disgust and resistance, effort, or you can do it as a Zen meditation. You can try to do it with excellence and love, surrendered action. The external action is the same, scrubbing. The internal vibration is opposite. When you perform an unpleasant task with acceptance and quality, you illuminize it. You stop generating negative karma. And most importantly, by raising your vibration while doing the hated task, you become vibrationally incompatible with it. The universe will promote you. You cannot leave a mediocre job by hating it. Hatred sticks you to it. You can only leave it by surpassing it vibrationally. Fear disguised as waiting for the sign, a vital warning. Many people use the excuse of "I'm waiting for inspired action" to cover up their laziness or their fear. They sit on the sofa for months. The universe hasn't told me anything. Lie. The universe has whispered to you 100 times, "Go for a walk, sign up for that course, call that person." But you were afraid, so you ignored the nudge and said it wasn't a clear sign. Do not use spirituality to justify your comfort zone. If in doubt, do something. It is better to be wrong by action than by inaction. A ship cannot be steered if it is still. It needs movement for the rudder to work. Start moving, even if slowly. Do anything positive. By moving, you generate momentum, and once in motion, it is easier to correct course. God cannot drive a parked car. Start the engine. The energy of desperation versus the energy of devotion. Analyze the energy behind your actions. Are you sending resumes at 3 in the morning with a knot in your throat and terror of not paying the mortgage? That is energy of desperation. It's like trying to flirt while smelling of fear. It repels. You are rowing against a hurricane. Are you sending resumes because you feel valuable? You are curious to see who will be lucky enough to hire you, and you trust your place is there. That is energy of devotion, trust. It is magnetic. The physical action is identical, sending an email. The result will be opposite. Before acting, check your vibration. If you feel fear or lack, do not act. Stop. Raise your vibration first. Meditate, walk, listen to music. Enter a state of trust, and only then from that platform of stability act. Abraham Hicks says, 1 hour of aligned action is worth more than 1,000 hours of forced action. Aligning the energy is 80% of the work. The physical action is the final 20%. Good tired versus bad tired. How do you know if you've done it right at the end of the day? By the type of tiredness. Bad tired, stress, is felt in the head and shoulders. There is tension. There is mental rumination. It's hard to sleep because the mind keeps spinning. Good tired satisfaction is felt in the muscles. It is a pleasant weight in the body. The mind is calm and empty. You sleep like a baby. You feel used in the good sense, like a tool that has fulfilled its function. Seek the good tired. Protocol: the have-to versus want-to list. Take your to-do list. It is probably a torture list full of have-tos. Review it. How many of those things are truly mandatory for immediate survival? Paying the light, eating. Cross out without mercy what is not essential. With what remains, apply the want-to rule. Rephrase the task. Instead of "I have to go to the gym," heavy, say, "I want to move my body to feel strong," inspired. If you can't find an honest want-to for a task, ask yourself if you should really do it. Your life is too short to fill it with dead actions. Hoist your sails, catch the wind, dance with the ocean. Chapter 11. Living in Flow, the Perpetual Magic. Imagine you are a jazz musician. You have spent years learning the scales, the theory, the technique. You have practiced until your fingers bled. You have struggled with the instrument. But there comes a night, in a dark and smoky club, when something strange happens. You stop thinking. You stop looking at the sheet music. You stop worrying about making a mistake. You close your eyes and suddenly you disappear. The saxophone disappears. Only the music remains. Your fingers move on their own, playing notes you never practiced, but that are perfect. You feel that it is not you playing, but that something is playing through you. You are in the zone. You are in the flow. In that state there is no fear. There is no doubt. There is no effort. There is only a pure, electric, and ecstatic presence. Welcome to the final chapter, Living in Flow. What the musician experiences during that song, you can experience throughout your entire life. This is not a poetic exaggeration. It is a real neurological and spiritual possibility. We have spent 10 chapters dismantling your blockages. We have dismantled your fears and your need for control. We have cleaned the pipes. Now it is time to turn on the faucet and let the water run forever. Surrender is not something you do on Tuesday because you have a problem and then return to being a controller on Wednesday. Surrender is a lifestyle. It is the definitive transition from living in survival mode, friction, fear, calculation, to living in flow mode, inspiration, trust, magic. It is turning the exception, miracles, into the norm. This is your new reality. The definition of perpetual magic. What is magic? Arthur C. Clarke said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." Living in flow is applying an advanced spiritual technology. To the outside observer, your life will seem magical. They will see that things work out for you by chance. They will see that you are always in the right place. They will see that you don't get stressed, and yet you achieve more than they do. They will ask you, "What is your secret? How do you do it?" And you will smile because you will know that the secret is that you do nothing. You allow it to be done. Perpetual magic is the natural state of things when resistance is completely removed. It is not that the universe is giving you special treatment. It is that you have stopped pinching the hose of abundance. The flow of well-being is constant. The only variable is you. When you live in constant surrender, you become a superconductor of grace. You become an instrument of the divine. The dissolution of the doer non-duality. The greatest obstacle to flow is the small self that believes it is the one doing things. I achieved this. I have to solve that. In the state of flow, the distinction between the doer and the action dissolves. The dancer becomes the dance. The painter becomes the painting. You become life. There is no longer a separate you fighting against the world. There is a unity of movement. Do you realize how restful this is? The burden of personal responsibility evaporates. You no longer have to hold the weight of your success, nor the weight of your failure, because you understand that you are only the instrument. If the melody is beautiful, you do not applaud the violin. You applaud the violinist, the universal intelligence. If the melody is out of tune, you do not blame the violin, you simply tune it. You align yourself and keep playing. Living in flow is living without the heavy backpack of the ego. It is walking light. It is being the channel for the infinite. The frequency of yes. What is the technical mechanism for staying in the flow 24/7? It is very simple, but it requires fierce discipline. The mechanism is the unconditional yes to the present moment. The flow is cut every time you say no to reality. It shouldn't rain. Flow cut. He shouldn't have said that. Flow cut. This is too difficult. Flow cut. Every no creates a rock in the river. It creates turbulence. It creates suffering. To live in flow, your default response to everything must be yes. Be careful. Saying yes does not mean you like it. It does not mean you want it to be repeated. It means you accept that this is what is happening now. Yes, I have lost the money. Acceptance of the fact. From that, yes, you can act to recover it. But if you say, no, this is unfair, I refuse to accept it, you stay stuck on the shore kicking and screaming. The yes dissolves the resistance. The yes lubricates reality. When you become a person who says yes to life, life begins to say yes to you. Navigating the rapids, flow in crisis. It is easy to flow when the river is calm and sunny. But what happens when the rapids arrive? What happens when life gets violent? The rookie's mistake is thinking that living in flow means you will never have problems. False. The river has calm stretches and turbulent stretches. The difference is that the master is not afraid in the rapids. The master knows that the rapids are also flow. In fact, they are accelerated flow. When a crisis arrives, the controller becomes rigid. He tries to slow the boat by digging in the oars. The boat capsizes. The surrendered one accelerates. He moves with the turbulence. He uses the energy of chaos to move forward faster. He knows that on the other side of the rapids, there are calm waters. Living in flow means trusting the current, especially when the current gets rough. It means saying, wow, this is going fast. Hold on tight. Let's see where this takes us. It is turning panic into adventure. Security comes from the trust in your ability to float. Spiritual hygiene, the reset button. No one can stay in perfect flow 100% of the time. We are human. We have reactive biology. You will get angry. You will get scared. You will step out of the flow. The difference between the master and the apprentice is not that the master never leaves. The difference is the recovery time, the refractory period. The apprentice gets angry in the morning and stays angry for 3 days. He has lost 72 hours of life. The master gets angry, feels the wrath, realizes he has left the flow, breathes, surrenders, and returns in 5 minutes. Living in flow requires daily spiritual hygiene. Just as you shower every day to remove physical dirt, you must clean yourself every day from vibratory dirt, collective fears, news, arguments. You need your return rituals, meditation, nature, journaling, gratitude. These are not tasks, they are your life support system. If you don't clean your filter, it gets clogged, and if it gets clogged, the flow stops. Your number one priority in life, above your work and your family, is to protect your vibration. Because if your vibration drops, you serve neither your work nor your family. You are dead weight. If you keep your vibration high, you are a sun that nourishes everyone around you. Keep your light clean. Keep your channel open. The hollow bamboo. There is an ancient prayer that says, Lord, make of me a hollow bamboo. The bamboo is strong on the outside, but empty on the inside. Being empty, the wind can pass through it and become music, a flute. If the bamboo were full of things, ego, opinions, judgments, the past, the air would not pass. There would be no music. Living in flow is the process of emptying oneself of rigid opinions, emptying oneself of the need to be right, emptying oneself of personal importance. The less you there is inside, the more God can enter. The most powerful people in the world are the most humble in an energetic sense because they are not full of themselves. They are full of mission. They are full of vision. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Stop defending your small identity. Be hollow. Let life play through you. Let the music of the universe sound in your soul. From seeker to finder. For years you have been a spiritual seeker. You have read books, gone to courses, looked for the truth. The identity of seeker is a subtle trap of the ego. The seeker, by definition, is someone who does not have. He seeks because he lacks. The seeker is always looking to the future. When I find the perfect technique, I will be happy. Living in flow means killing the seeker. You have to become a finder. You have to declare, this is it. I have already arrived. There is nothing more to look for. The truth is not in the next book. It is here in my breath. This declaration is radical. It stops the frantic external search and activates the internal experience. You do not need more information. You need more embodiment. You need to apply what you already know. Stop accumulating theories and start being the living proof of them. The world does not need more philosophers. It needs more examples. Be the example of someone who lives without fear. Be the living manifestation of the flow. Cosmic efficiency, energy economy. The universe is the most efficient system that exists. It does not waste a single electron. Living in flow is aligning with that efficiency. When you are in resistance, control, you spend 100 units of energy to get 10 of result. When you are in surrender, flow, you spend 10 units of energy to get 100 of result. This is leverage. You become productive without stress. You do less. But what you do is nuclear. Your words have weight. Your presence fills the room. People wonder how you have time for everything. The answer is that you do not waste time in mental friction. You do not spend hours ruminating, doubting, or lamenting. You enter, you act, you exit. Clean, fast. Living in flow is the key to longevity. Stress and resistance oxidize your cells. Flow rejuvenates. It keeps you connected to the eternal source of vitality. The domino effect. Vibrational leadership. When you live in flow, you change the world around you without trying to change it. You enter a room where everyone is stressed. You are at peace. You say nothing. You are just there, breathing, anchored in your yes. By the principle of resonance, your stable and high vibration begins to affect the chaotic and low vibrations of others. Little by little, they calm down. The meeting flows better. An agreement is reached. You have led without speaking. You have been a thermostat. This is the greatest service you can do for humanity. It is not preaching to them. It is infecting them with your peace. Your children will not learn what you tell them. They will learn what you vibrate. If you live in flow and joy, they will learn that life is beautiful. Your surrender is your legacy. It is the silent revolution that heals the world. The infinite game. Simon Sinek speaks of finite games and infinite games. A finite game, football, chess, has fixed rules, a time limit, and a winner. You play to win. The infinite game, life, business, relationships, has no time limit, and the goal is to keep playing. The controller plays life as a finite game. I want to win now. I want the trophy so the game ends and I can rest. The surrendered understands that life is an infinite game. There is no final goal. If you get the $1 million, the game goes on. If you get married, the game goes on. The objective is to enjoy the match. Living in flow is falling in love with the game, not the trophy. It is waking up every morning excited to see what cards you get today and how you are going to play them. When you lose the obsession with winning and finishing, anxiety disappears. You have all of eternity ahead of you. There is no rush. Enjoy the scenery while you play. The final vision, your new life. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and visualize how your life will be in a year if you apply this book. Imagine waking up in the morning without an alarm, or with the alarm, but without that heavy feeling in your chest. You wake up excited. You don't have a rigid plan, but you have a clear direction. You eat breakfast, savoring every bite. Now. A problem arises at work. Instead of panicking, you smile and say, "Interesting." You wait for the sign. You act with precision. You solve it. Someone criticizes you. You do not defend yourself. You know who you are. You smile and move on. You meet a friend. You are totally present. He feels loved. You look at your bank account. There is flow. You do not cling to money. You let it circulate. You reach the night. You are not exhausted. You are satisfied. You go to bed. You let everything go. You fall asleep in peace, knowing the universe is doing the night shift for you. This life is not a fantasy. It is your birthright. This is the life you were designed for before fear taught you to close your fist. It is time to reclaim it. The last step, handing over the baton. We have come a long way together. We started with a closed fist and finished with an open heart. We started with fear of the future and finished in love with uncertainty. I have fulfilled my part. I have given you the map. But the map is not the territory. Now it is your turn to walk, and I warn you there will be days when you will forget all of this. There will be days when the ego will scream again, and you will close your fist. It is normal. Do not judge yourself. Simply notice it. The moment you realize you have returned to control, you have already won, because that consciousness is surrender entering again. Open your hand again, breathe again, and start over. Mastery is not never falling. Mastery is getting up faster and with more grace every time. Go ahead, sailor. The wind is favorable, the ocean is vast, and you are finally free. Final conclusion. The leap of faith, the birth of the real self. The audio is about to end. The voice will fade. Silence will once again fill your room, and you will find yourself exactly where you started, with yourself. But if you have listened with your heart and not just your ears, the person sitting there now is not the same person who pressed play a few hours ago. That person was an exhausted general, fighting an impossible war against reality, full of scars, carrying the weight of the world in a backpack full of stones called control. The person you are now is different. Perhaps you feel lighter. Perhaps you feel a strange tingling in your stomach. It is a mixture of vertigo and relief. That feeling is freedom, and freedom at first makes you dizzy. During this journey, we have committed an act of vandalism against your ego. We have dismantled, brick by brick, the fortress in which you were hiding. We have exposed the great lie of your life. The idea that if you worry enough, if you tense up enough, and if you manipulate enough, you will be safe. Now you know the truth. You know that security is an illusion, but that trust is an invincible power. You know that you cannot control the waves, but that you were born with the innate ability to surf them. But before you stand up and return to your routine, I must give you one last warning. What you have received here is not just information, it is an invitation to die. To die metaphorically. For the master of flow to be born, the tyrant of control must die. And the tyrant is not going to surrender without a fight. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm sounds, or when you receive that conflicting email, or when your bank account drops, the tyrant will try to reclaim the throne. Your old mind will scream, "This is madness, go back to worrying." Tense your shoulders again, we need to defend the fort. You will feel the biological temptation to close your fist again. You will feel the seduction of anger and victimhood. In that precise instant, your destiny will be decided. In that instant, you will have to choose between the familiar comfort of your old prison or the fresh and terrifying air of your new freedom. I ask you to choose freedom. I ask you to remember the physics of the open hand. Remember that with a closed fist you can strike, yes, but you cannot receive, you cannot caress, you cannot hold anyone's hand. Surrender is the act of living with your palm open toward the sky, saying, "Universe, I am ready, give me what I need, take from me what is excess. I cling to nothing. I am a clean channel." Think of the vastness of what you are saving. Think of the tons of energy you used to waste calculating futures that never happened. Think of the sleepless nights, the mental arguments, the corrosive anxiety. All of that is gone. Imagine that energy returning to you right now. Feel how it fills you. That is the energy you are going to use to create, to love, and to play. Because life, ultimately, is a game. The controller thinks it is an exam that must be passed. That is why he lives with the fear of error. The surrendered knows it is a game to be experienced. That is why he lives with curiosity. If you make a mistake, you laugh. If you fall, you get up. If you lose the map, you enjoy the unknown landscape. There is no failure in the paradigm of surrender. There are only unexpected plot twists. You have learned the lesson of the Chinese farmer. Do not judge anything as good or bad too soon. Let the story unfold. You have learned the lesson of the sailor. Do not row against the wind, adjust the sails. You have learned the lesson of the now. Life only happens in this heartbeat. Now you have the tools. You are an alchemist. You have the power to transform the lead of fear into the gold of presence. But do not fall into the trap of thinking that this will turn you into a passive being, a dry leaf carried by the wind. On the contrary, surrender is the position of the greatest power that exists. Look at the great masters of history, the great athletes, the great artists. In their peak moments, they were not striving. They were surrendered. They were channeling a force greater than themselves. When you get out of the way, you allow the intelligence that created the galaxies to flow through your hands, your voice, and your decisions. You become formidable. You become magnetic. People will look at you and say, "What does this person have? Why does it seem like the world steps aside to let them pass?" And you will know the secret. The world steps aside because you have stopped pushing. The world cooperates with the one who offers no resistance. So here is your final mission. Go out there and do the experiment. Test the universe. Challenge it. Say, "Today I am going to let go of control. Today I am going to trust radically. Show me that you sustain me." And observe. Observe the synchronicities. Observe the green lights. Observe the impossible coincidences. You will see how the right people appear. You will see how problems dissolve on their own or find elegant solutions that your logical mind would have never imagined. You will discover that you are not alone. You will discover that there is an invisible network of love and mathematics sustaining you at every step. You have never been falling into a void. You have always been floating in grace. Do not look for perfection. There will be bad days. There will be days when you will close your fist, forgive yourself quickly, open it again, and keep playing. Mastery is not about not falling. It is about not staying on the ground, analyzing the fall, but getting up dancing. Your life is no longer yours to micromanage. Your life is an offering. Your life is a dance with the divine. The music has started. Stop looking at your feet to see if you're doing it right. Stop looking at the audience to see if they're applauding. Close your eyes, feel the rhythm, and let yourself go. Fear has brought you this far, but only love can take you the rest of the way. And surrender is the highest form of love. It is trusting that life loves you enough to take care of you without you having to watch it. Take a deep breath one last time. Fill your lungs with the air of the present. Hold it for a moment, and now let go. Release the breath, release the body, release the past, release the future, release control. Welcome to your new life. Welcome to the flow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting, and above all, thank you for surrendering.